Space Center for Starship and Super Heavy. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty cool. I wanna do a little bit of a look into that. So but here's a little video on suspension as requested. I will be back momentarily. Just gonna refill my coffee and then watch radar. That's right, Bossy, LC49. Alright, I will be back momentarily.
A thrill a minute, neck twisters, spine shakers. Rides like this are a lot of fun, once in a while, and for some people. But few of us would like to do very much traveling over the waves of a roller coaster. These are only a few of the devices that man has invented to give himself a thrill and a pain in the neck. Sudden ups and downs are all right in an amusement device, but automobiles haven't much use for them. The automobile engineers know that in our motor cars, we want comfort and a smooth, level ride. Even when we want to travel on the level, the ups and downs, the waves in the Earth's surface, complicate the problem of getting a smooth, comfortable ride. The bumps and dips in the Earth's surface over which we travel have been reduced. Great progress has been made in leveling and smoothing out roads and highways. But automotive engineers have long known that all roads can never be made perfectly smooth. Even the smooth, paved roads have long, gradual waves, or small, sharp bumps that have different effects at different speeds. The wheels of our motor cars follow these waves, moving up and down with each change in the surface of the road. So, to give us the smooth, level ride we want, engineers knew that the smoothing and leveling would have to be done by the motor car itself. Between the moving wheels and the passengers, some sort of a bump leveling device is needed. Let's see for ourselves the method by which the engineers have approached and solved this problem. Here is a wheel, fastened so that it is free to move up and down. The wheel rolls on a moving belt, rising and falling whenever it strikes a bump. A platform, fastened solidly to the wheel, carries a tracing pen, and when the wheel moves up and down, the tracing pen draws a line which shows the movement of the platform. To get a true picture of the up and down movements, the tracing paper moves at the same speed as the moving ground belt. We'll start the model running.
Discovery.
Now, the traced line gives us an exact picture of the up and down movements of the wheel and platform. Let's see what happens when we use more speed. At high speeds, the effect of a bump is considerably greater. In slow motion photography, we can see that the wheel climbs the bump and bounces into the air. Of course, this jolting is passed on to the platform. We can mount a fairly stiff spring underneath the platform to see how it will affect the jolting. Now, let's watch it in slow motion photography. The traced line shows that we have cut down the jolting because the spring absorbs some of the effect of the bump. Let's substitute a soft spring for the stiff spring that we have been using. A softer spring gives a smoother line because a soft spring is able to spread out the effect of the bump and act as a better cushion against the jolt of the wheel. But when there are 4 wheels mounted in 2 sets, front and rear, as in the motor car, the problem is complicated. Until recently, the front springs of the automobile had to be stiff to keep the axle and front wheels in line. If one set of springs is stiffer than the other set, the stiff set will bounce harder and faster. we can see that this unequal springing, stiff springs in front and soft springs in rear, causes pitching when the wheels strike a bump. The traced line shows this clearly. The only way to eliminate this unequal springing and make the front springs soft is to give them only one job to perform, the job of absorbing bumps. Suppose we replace the bouncing axle with a rigid, immovable beam. Now the wheels can be fastened to the beam by two parallel swinging arms. The wheel is pivoted so that even when the arms are tilted by a jolt or bump, the wheel remains vertical and in perfect alignment. And so now, in place of a stiff spring, we can use a soft spiral spring to absorb the jolts and level out the bumps. Since the rigid beam and the swinging arms keep the front wheels in line, there is only one job left for our springs to do. With both front and rear springs equally soft, the platform is held in balance. But now that the front and rear springs are soft, we have another problem. Springs that are soft enough to level out the bumps will compress too rapidly under a heavy shock. And springs that are soft enough to absorb small shocks have a tendency to continue bouncing after they have been compressed or stretched. So to help the springs absorb heavy shocks, we can slow down their action by means of shock absorbers. The shock absorber acts like a brake in delaying the movement of the spring, and it prevents bouncing when the spring is compressed and then released. We can make the severest kind of test to see whether we have a method that will really iron out the ups and downs. We'll use a lot more bumps of different sizes, and we'll run them under our wheels at full speed. Now watch the traced line. The traced line seems to be pretty smooth. Let's watch through the slow motion camera and see just what's happening. No more pitching, and the soft springs with their shock absorbers spread out the effect of any bumps that they can't completely absorb. Of course, in actual practice, where strength and safety are of maximum importance, engineers have made use of these same bump-absorbing, road-leveling principles with a much stronger and more durable construction. The front wheel is pivoted so that it can be steered in any direction and is mounted on a strong, upright arm. The upright arm is fastened to the rigid, immovable crossbeam by means of two parallel swinging arms. The swinging arms and the rigid crossbeam do all the work of keeping the wheels in perfect alignment. So the genuine soft knee action spring has only one job to do: cushion the bumps. A double action shock absorber controls both the compressing and stretching of the spring as it absorbs heavy jolts. This combination of soft cushioning springs, together with positive double action control on the front wheels, is balanced at the rear wheels by equally soft springs with the same type of double action shock absorbers for control. With soft, balanced springing, held under positive double control, the smoothing and leveling of roads is done by the motor car itself. The pitching and the ups and downs are eliminated. Here is a real test on a full-size scale. That pipe sticking up from the top of the car is a giant tracing pen. The sky itself will be our moving strip of tracing paper. And this tank of skywriting smoke will take the place of ink. The car rides smoothly over the waves, while the wheels do all of the pounding. Watch the traced line. And so, the pain in the neck has been taken out of ordinary driving, giving a truly level ride over any bumps on city streets or on country roads.
Yeah? Pretty good, right? Did that answer your questions about suspension and how it works? They're trying to reduce sinusoidal oscillations from the wheels. That's what the shock absorber does. It is hydraulic, right? But it's using a semi-compressible liquid. And this is what I was too tired to say last night. So it's semi-compressible. So it dampens out force. Or it dampens out the force. So basically it absorbs it. It uses hydraulic compression, semi-hydraulic compression to absorb it. But there also can be gas shocks too. You can have gas struts as well. You can have pneumatic suspension. There's hydraulic suspension, there's pneumatic suspension, there's pneumatic shock absorbers. There's magnetic suspension in some aspects. There's a bunch of different things. I learned something today. Yeah, did you see the wheels going over the pitching that they were talking about? You have to use differential spring rates on the wheels because of weight distribution on the car. So if you think about it, the car has the engine up at the front. Those springs need to be stiff because they have to hold that engine up, right? Got to hold the engine. That thing's heavy. Even by today's standards, still heavy. So those springs have to be stiffer. But a stiffer spring is going to give you a crappier ride. So you need to put you need to have what's called a different damping rate. Not dampening. You're not washing the car. You have to have a different damper rate up at the front than you do at the back. That'll eliminate pitching. So you have a softer spring in the back with a higher damper, or with a softer damper, and then you have a hard spring up the front with a really, really stiff damper. Or maybe I got the dampers reversed, but it basically evens out. Did you see that car? It wasn't moving. The chassis was staying the same and the wheels were doing all the work. Double wishbone is older than led to believe. Double wishbone is good. McPherson is better. McPherson is the simpler way to do it. But yeah, funnily enough, this is a great analogy for how capacitors and inductors function in power electronics to absorb variations in both voltage and current. Yeah. Alex, wouldn't that be like, is that related to three-phase AC at all? Because doesn't three-phase AC do the same thing? And I'm not sure, dude, my electrical engineering game is poo-poo. It might as well be gibberish to me, dude. McPherson is the less expensive way. Personally, Spraz, my favorite is torsion bars. I think torsion bars give you the best ride. But that's just, and they're very simple. They're very simple, and they give you the best one. Can confirm. Have car with torsion bar. Yeah, there you go, Smirks, right? Yeah. Basically, you're trying to dampen out the oscillations. You want the chassis to stay as still as you can, even on something like a race car. Double wishbone and multi-link is better because the lateral forces are directed towards the direction of the coil and the shock. Yeah, that probably has a lot to do with it. What is this, Nemeko? Ooh, a video from Tatra. Alright, well, we'll check this and then we'll get into space news. Let's go. I can't help but want to talk like the guy from the announcing videos. Alright, let's see. Hey, that's pretty good. Not quite. Three-phase has a problem where you start pulling power from one phase instead of all three, and you need to balance it out, basically. I was talking more about how you dampen a sudden flux of power with an electric spring and damper. Oh, cool. He's truck. Metco, how do you... What's the word for truck? It is a bank track, BY. You see that? See? You're gonna have a NASCAR league over there. This is a perfect NASCAR track right there, man. Brooke. Nice. Hey, look at that. There it is. See, semi-trucks, guys, are a little bit different. Semi-trucks have pneumatic suspension. See that, Flykin? Look, airbags. They rely on airbags for spring and, well, it's not, it's damper. The airbags are for dampers. But this should have a, I don't know. Is it leafed? I can't really tell. Here, let me watch it working again. Man, that's a heavy axle. Yeah, see, leafs. So they have leaf springs, right, for the spring, and then the damper force is for an airbag. Gruzovic camion. Camion. So something that this is kind of a meta for heavy trucks. Heavy trucks work a little bit different. This is part of the reason why you need a different license for a truck. Because trucks have pneumatic systems. They have air systems in them. Why? Well, they have them for the dampers, right? The shock absorbers, right? But also, pneumatic systems are the brakes. The brakes are a pneumatic system on a truck. The idea with a pneumatic braking system on the truck is that in order to get the brakes on a truck to disengage, you need to have pneumatic pressure. You basically need to have air in the lines. So if you're driving your truck along, right, and you blow the pneumatic line, your brakes lock up and the truck stops. The idea is that the only way to get the brakes to disengage is when the truck is operating normally. It's a pretty smart idea. That's a really smart way to do that. Or just use Kamaz. Eto Roshokum Kamaz. Hello from my A330. Guess we got upgraded to first class. Nice, Element. Sweet. Dong dong. I hope you enjoy the in-flight entertainment here tonight on a flight. Semi-locomotives. Yep. Wait, what? I missed what do truck brakes do? All right. So, trucks use a pneumatic system. They use a pneumatic system for the shock absorbers, and they also use a pneumatic system for the brakes. That's important to understand. Every truck has an air pump on it, and has an air compressor. And that air compressor is feeding into a pneumatic tank. You ever hear a truck driving along and the truck comes to a stop and you hear that very distinctive noise, right? That's the pneumatic tanks laying off pressure, right? So why? Why do they do that? Well, they do that because the only way to get the brakes to disengage on the wheels, the only way to get the wheels moving is to build up pneumatic pressure. The brakes will only disengage when there's pressure, meaning when the engine is on. Other than that, the brakes on a truck stay locked in position. They don't move. Now, why? That seems weird. What happens if the engine shuts off? Well, you still have pneumatic pressure. You're just not generating any more. But the idea is that if something goes wrong with the truck, the engine breaks, you blow a pneumatic line or something, or you hit a bump and something goes wrong, if you lose air pressure, right? The brakes clamp. They'll lock. They'll lock up. Well, they won't lock up, but they'll stop working. And the brakes will lock up and the truck will stop instead of a truck that careens out of control, right? It's actually a really smart idea. That's a really good fail-safe idea built into the system. Even, guys, I'm fairly confident that even like the Tesla Semi will have that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that even the Tesla will have that because it's a good way to do things. Why don't they do that for cars? Long story short, Tomas, a pneumatic system is more expensive to make. It's more complicated, right? For a truck, it makes sense because trucks can be 50, 60, 70, 80, 90,000 pounds of payload. You don't want that out of control. A car out of control, it's not as bad. It's still pretty bad. I mean, but yeah, cars use a hydraulic braking system, and the brakes can basically be applied at any time. So why do some trucks go out of control? Some trucks go out of control when the brakes melt. Yep. You ever been driving on a highway and you see a sign that says trucks use caution, next 10 miles, 10% grade or something like that? What the truckers are doing, what trucks will do when they're going down a hill, because you have a lot of momentum. Trucks are heavier, way heavier than a car. I mean, you've seen don't get me wrong, everybody's curiosity is piqued at some point, and you've seen a semi-truck hit a car, and you see what happens. It blows through it like Swiss cheese, just, right? Truck has a lot more momentum. So what truckers do is they use the hydraulic compression from the engine and friction in the engine to slow the vehicle down. That's the Jake brake. That's that noise that you hear from trucks. It's a Jake brake. They're using the engine as a brake. And they also use a combination of that and the actual pneumatic braking system. Because if you just use one or the other, or if you're, this is the other reason why you roads have weight limits, because there's a weight limit for the grade. Because if you're carrying much too heavy of a load and you start going down this hill, the truck's brake system can't take the momentum from going down that hill. Too much kinetic energy for the brakes. And the brakes will try and take the kinetic energy and turn it into heat energy. That's what brakes do because of friction, right? And eventually, if you heat up the brakes too much, that's it. No more brakes. That's when you get runaway trucks, when they're carrying too heavy of a load, or if the brakes overheat or something. That's why there's those fake off ramps with sand. Exactly. Those are there just in case. It's basically a gravel trap for the truck to stop it. I drove on the German Autobahn. There are sections where there's a dedicated truck lane where the drop would be too heavy for the brakes to keep up. Regular cars take a shorter route with a higher incline. Yep. Trucks and trains don't like going uphill. Trucks can go up a hill a little bit better than a train can, T-Man, but yes. And that has a lot to do with the momentum. But trucks for a different reason. But yeah, pneumatic braking systems, dude. You can see it. The airlines are right there. See, there's two coming off. Even on this Russian truck. It doesn't matter if it's an American, European, Russian, Chinese truck. It doesn't matter. They all use this because this is a really good idea. So you have your bags, and then you have a regular hydraulic shock absorber right there. But these two work in conjunction with each other, and then you have your leaf springs. That leaf spring is about this big. It's huge. That's a beefy freaking leaf spring. Check it out. Yeah. Look at that. Pretty cool, huh? These 8x8 trucks are really dope, dude. Oh, look. It's a Michigan road. That was a joke. Michigan, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. Yeah, see? See, look. From that automotive video that we just watched, there's your pitching. See it? There's your pitching that they're talking about. It still happens to an extent. But, yeah. Yeah, see? That's what they're trying to advertise. That's what they're trying to advertise between the Tatra's trying to show here between the new and the old truck. Look at the blue one. The blue one's junk. Look at it. It's like and any trucker that sees this looks at that and goes, my spine." Watch the next frame where it shows the two guys bouncing around in the truck. You could be filthy peasant with no sunglasses, or you could be cool man with sunglasses. Not very good ride. Very good ride. Yeah, see, look, there it is. See there? See that working? And then actually the Russians have this really cool swing arm axle that's a Tatra invention. That's a really cool idea. If you notice, it's a solid axle, but the whole axle moves, which is pretty dope. That's really cool. And then, they unbolted the sway bar. There's your sway bar mount. You don't want that on a bumpy road. Take that. Yeah, you want to take that off. But see this? Now, there's another reason why trucks have pneumatics on them. Why they have bags on them. Anybody else know why? Why would a truck have airbags on it? Why would it do that? For the suspension. What the heck's the point of that? You don't want, like, if the pneumatic system fails, you're going to have no shock absorber, and then your truck's going to do this. Why would you want that? Ride height. Pass under bridges too, to an extent, but ride height. You got to remember, a truck needs to back up, hitch a trailer, and then pick up the trailer, and then take the trailer landing gear and retract it. How do you do that? How do you do that if you have a fixed ride height? No, they have the bags on the rear wheels, so they can squat the back of the truck, get it up underneath a trailer, reinflate it, put the fifth wheel in, and undo the landing gear so the trailer never has to worry about bending down or bending up. Dude, I used to watch this all the time when I worked on the loading dock. No, not the Russians. Tatra is Czech, and the Czechs are a bit angry about calling them Russians. Yeah, that's right. Tatra is, no. I'm confusing it with Kamaz. These 8x8s are cool either way. I love how they blanked the name. Oh, we cannot show other truck's name. Duct tape over. This is other guy truck. He's a piece of junk. Oh, man. Look at that. That's cool. I like these 8x8s. They're really neat. Nice, Evil Bit. There you go. Look at Jesus. Oh, man. Yeah, dude. Truck seats, like a trucker's seat, is on springs. The truck seat has its own suspension. Because if you think about it, where the suspension is and where you're actually riding, that's a good distance away from each other. So even a small bump with the suspension is going to translate to a lot of movement up in the cab. So a lot of seats are on springs as well because of that. Yeah, look, see? The drive shaft. Drive shaft's going right through. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's cool stuff, man. I love these suspension cameras. Look at the swing axle. That's really freaking cool. Bro. Isn't that sick? Dude, look at that. Oh, that's so kick-ass, man. Do you see the travel on the freaking arms? Unbelievable. Bro, this is a military vehicle that's disguised as a dump truck. I want to ride BMX on that road. Yeah, right? Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Dude, look at the articulation. That articulation is insane for a truck. That is ridiculous by American standards. Our trucks can't do that. Our trucks are designed for concrete, but they're designed for hauling long distances not on concrete, on asphalt. There's no way we have that kind of suspension travel. There's definitely Michigan roads. Yeah, dude, the swing on that's actually really cool. Really cool truck, Nemetko. Those are neat. Yeah, we don't have stuff like that over here. I mean, the closest we would have is a Hemet, I suppose. You're not far off from true. Tatra supplies army trucks. Yeah, that's what Nemetko was saying. I mean, a lot of the hardware over there is derived from Miltech, dude. So is ours. The highway system is Miltech in the United States. If you really want to look at it, like that, defense spending built that thing, not civil. Yeah, the Russians have good 8x8 trucks. I mean, Spraz, nobody ever said the Russians couldn't build a good off-roading vehicle. They have some pretty treacherous terrain in their backyard, so I would suspect that they're pretty dang good at doing that. Yeah. Yeah, just putting it out there. What's this, Nemetko? Really? What? What is this? Yeah. Huh. They use Tatra fire trucks. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I knew I liked Tatra. Hell yeah. That's a language I understand right there. Did you just start Space News? Nah, we're getting warmed up here. Talking about trucks again. Sorry. So Let me just look at these locations again, Nemetco. Yeah, see? All these places are remote. With the exception of San Diego, I don't think so. I love how it just says Rocky Mountain. Port Orange. I'm not sure why you'd need that there, but that's cool. Can you get one of these in SnowRunner? I think a Tatra is already in it. What are they? Okay, where are they zooming in on here? So, okay, that's Coronado. Bro, cool. Oh, that's a cool truck, man. Yeah, see, look at this. This is Mills. Yo, they put... Huh. I know those wheels. Those are... Huh. Is a Tatra Wildland XT. Take a look. Gross vehicle weight is 61,000 pounds. That's really freaking heavy. And an onboard capacity of 2,500 gallons of water. Wow. That is a chunker of a truck. Did you see that video of the dually Hemet? No? We put small listening device in truck. Nah. Yeah, that's a heavy, heavy truck. This is designed to fight brush fires, guys. So for the people that aren't from, you know, California. I mean, I'm not from California either. But you wouldn't think they'd need a heavy-duty off-road vehicle like this out there. But San Diego is actually pretty freaking hilly. There are times where you need a fire truck to get into places that a fire truck has no business. And that's what that thing is for. That's why they have that. That makes perfect sense. Like, a lot of California is really heavily developed with a lot of highways and stuff. But once you get up into the hills, nah, son. Oh, yeah, is that 11'8" over Thunder? Yeah. El Dorado Springs. Rocky Mountain Fire. Cool. Yo, these things are sick. Yeah, see, the rims are different. The guys in San Diego put striker tires on theirs. Straight up. See the rims. The rims are different. Look. They put striker rims on theirs. I know those rims anywhere because I modeled them. See? There they are. Huh. Cool. I like that. That's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. Strikers are also really cool. Yeah, I like those.
Discovery.
Hey, over Thunder, 13-month resub. Anyway, a little bit of a dive into trucks. That's pretty neat. Medical striker. Woo! All right. So, here, check this out. We got video coming from NASA, or not video. We got an article coming from NASA here. This is how I want to start off space news. It is Starship news, but here, take a look. NASA conducts environmental assessment, practices responsible growth. Yeah, you look at that article, you're like, okay, all right. There are inflators you can put in air and take air out. Yeah, of course. In response to an inquiry from SpaceX, NASA is preparing to conduct an environmental assessment to develop a proposed new launch site. Launch Complex 49 at the agency's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The 175-acre site, located north of Complex 39B, within the center's security perimeter, would support the launch and landing of the company's Starship and Super Heavy launch vehicle. Dually Hemet. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's Heavy D. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. NASA and SpaceX are moving forward with the initial environmental analysis before conducting a potential agreement to develop the property. LC-49 has been part of Kennedy's master plan for several years, said Tom Engler, Kennedy's Director of Central Planning and Development. Notice of availability was updated in 2014. Every new construction project, whether government or commercial, goes through a comprehensive environmental review process. This ensures that we are able to identify potential environmental impacts and define any associated mitigations prior to project implementation. The spaceport, located at 140,000 acres, shared with the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge and Cape Canaveral National Seashore, is home to numerous threatened and endangered species that live in harmony with the spaceport's mission as the nation's premier multi-user spaceport. So, okay. NASA will begin interagency and public scoping for the proposed LC-49 environmental assessment in early 2022. Scoping is part of the NEPA process through which a federal agency describes proposed action and potential alternatives. The agency will then seek input from other agencies, organizations, and the public on potentially affected resources, environmental issues, and the agency's planned approach to analysis. NEPA. Other recent investigations at Kennedy cover the ongoing construction of the Indian River Bridge, the expansion of attractions at Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, an environmental assessment of the new Launch Complex 48, as well as assessments for potential developments in Exploration Park and the Shuttle Launch and Landing Facility. They took out the name Shuttle, but it's the Shuttle's Launch and Landing Facility. All right, I'm sorry, I'll die on that hill. All right, let's take a look at the picture. All right, so there's Complex 39. There's the VAB. There's KSC. KSC proper. That train track doesn't exist anymore. There's Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. Blue Origin is right there. SpaceX with Roberts Road is right there. The green right there is a solar panel farm. Operations Support Building 1, OSB 2, Press Site, Turning Basin, Crawlerway, Shuttle Landing Facilities over there. So there's Complex 48. Complex 48 is right there. Fun trivia question. This is Space Launch Complex 41. That's where Atlas V launches from. A lot of people don't know that's technically Kennedy Space Center. It is overseen by Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, but the actual property line for KSC is right here. Which is, something see, I mean, it's a little fun fact. See it right there? I'm pretty sure that's it. Complex 40 is on Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Yeah, those railroad tracks aren't there. They got taken out by a hurricane. But yeah, there's 39B, SLS, 39A, Falcon Heavy and Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. LC-48 is, well, that's somebody wanted to launch from 48. I forget who off the top of my head. But we're talking about up here. Notional 49, LC-49, right there. Is it Astra? I thought they were 46, but I could be wrong. Yeah, the XS-1 was supposed to go from there, which is... Notional 49. Now, that's all fine and dandy. It looks like they're building it on the road over here. There's Playa Linda Beach right there. But would SpaceX have to pay to build the pad? Well, yeah, nothing is free, Alleviate. What are you talking about? Would they have to pay NASA? No, they enter a lease agreement, dude. They enter a lease agreement to lease the land, and they can build what they want on it. That's what happened with 39A. We need LC-39C and D. CW, that's where I was kind of going to go with this, man. Like, okay, I have a EJ thinks he knows better moment, but most likely doesn't. Coming for you right here. That's cool. LC-49 right there is neat. I'm glad they're building more pads. But, okay, I have a stupid question, okay? This is my stupid question. Why, you're right, W, why don't you just build another one of these right there and extend the crawlerway? Now, I know what you're going to say. Why? Why would you do that? I don't think SpaceX is going to use the VAB. Well, yeah, they might not. But also, extending the crawlerway out is heavy infrastructure so you can move heavy equipment out here. You're going to have to build a heavy road over here anyway. You might as well. Might as well extend it and build another 39B or 39A style pad out here. Why not do that? Now, once again, they want to establish, they want to have KSC as a multi-user spaceport. Why not have the VAB as a multi-user spaceport too, and make another clean pad out here? Understand? That sounds way more expensive. What? What do you mean expensive? You already have all the infrastructure laid for it. All you got to do is just make it. They already built the capability to be able to add more pads to Complex 39. That's why the firing room, which is that diagonal building right next to the VAB, has 4 firing rooms, because Complex 39 was designed for 4 pads. 4 Saturn V pads, but yeah, that didn't happen. I don't know what horizontal launch area means. I'm not exactly sure what that's about, but yeah, a lot of folks don't know. If you like cartography, right? If you go and look, I mean, these pictures are a little bit outdated, but still, the point still stands. See? The infrastructure is there to build the crawler way out even further. It's there. See it? Yeah, I don't know what that's about, Mana, but yeah. I mean, just build another one. What's the... I know. Have you tried just building another pad? Why don't we... What's the distance here? Okay, so 1.5 miles, give or take. So let's go 166 up here. Right? That's pretty... That's that... So... That's the notional horizontal launch area, right? You could build out another one right here. And then crawlerway... Which is basically what they wanted to do. That's what NASA wanted to basically do. Why don't you do that? Because I know these roads. There's no way that road's heavy enough for a Starship or any heavy infrastructure. See this one right here and this gate? There's no way. And there's only really train tracks out there in a bum road that really nobody uses. Oh, I actually know the answer to that. 39D was dropped for LC-49 due to newer, more efficient pad design built around only needing heavy roads instead of the full crawlerway. However, one of the notional plans for LC-49s includes expanding the crawlerway to it despite not having the LC-39 designation. They should, Vulcan. They should do that. You really want a multi-user spaceport? Good. Have multi-user launch pads too. SpaceX would probably be the one exception to that rule. I would just give them their own launch complex, but still, I'd still build the crawlerway out there so they can easily move stuff. Yeah, you guys want to see what they had planned for Kennedy Space Center? Like I said, the VAB has 4 high bays in it. It has 4 high bays in it, and what they always wanted to do was make the launch pads for it as well. I'm trying to find a good picture. Here you go. Of course, EJ found the potato picture. So right where Complex 49 is where they wanted to put Pad C. And once again, they built the planned expansion for it as well. That's what it was supposed to look like. See that right there? And then actually there was supposed to be another one. Another pad right here that could launch out this corridor between C and B. Yeah, funny picture. How about this? That's an awesome picture. Who did this? James Vaughn? Wait, the crawlers are backwards. I don't care. Artistic license. That's an awesome picture. Thank you, Steam. Thank you. Yeah, the crawler, the launch towers are backwards. Still a cool picture, though. I mean, that's what I mean. That's what I mean about building out the crawlerway. Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. Wouldn't it be nuts to see SpaceX like put those crawlerways to use? Can you imagine with the flight rate that SpaceX is trying to achieve? How, like, dude, those crawlers would be getting some mileage on them real fast. Like, real fast. I think they should do this. That's a good idea. They are serious, but it was for artistic license, and I understand that. But yeah, see, they wanted to build out more pads. They should have done that. Nice stuff here. What do we got? By the way, new SLS pictures are out. Oh yeah, very nice. Oh, I like that second one, Vulcan. This guy. Oh yeah, that drives the point home. That's a great picture. How does the crawler go up to the launch pad without tipping the rocket? Variable suspension height. It's one of the gnarliest things seeing one of those load level up the pad. See? It has variable suspension. The crawler can tip forward and it can tip back. Isn't that cool? That's so freaking cool, man. Instead, trying to put Starship on the same pad as Falcon 9, they should continue Pad C. Agreed, Supercraft. Also, empty rockets are very bottom heavy. Well, the shuttle and SLS stacks aren't, because the SRBs are fully fueled. You can't fuel them on the pad, right? They have to come pre-fueled because they're solid rocket boosters. So these things, that shuttle stack's actually pretty damn heavy. Tell you something, I didn't realize how big one of those plates are on the tread till I went there. The crawler transporter is gigantic. Look at the person standing next to it. It's freaking huge. And what that thing does is even cooler. I mean, can you imagine it doing that with an SLS? Unbelievable. Yeah, it doesn't move very fast, but it can move. It's moving the entire launch pad, guys. That's what people got to understand. See this box right here? That's the launch pad. This is everything that the shuttle needs to launch, minus water, hydrogen, oxygen, and electrical. That's it. That's it. That's all you need. And HVAC too, if you want to be very, 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 very technical. It could theoretically launch without this, or without this. I mean, you'd have some has-gas problems with the hydrogen vent, but you don't necessarily need all this over here. You could launch it with this. I wouldn't, but you could launch it with just that. That is the launch pad. That's what I'm trying to tell you. See SLS right there? The launch umbilical tower, the LUT? That's the launch pad. The crawler transporter moves the entire launch pad. Those must have been some huge quick disconnects to connect to the pad to the GSE. Yeah, they're pretty big. I've seen the ones for the water system up close, Hellfish. It's probably about 1 meter wide pipe, I'd say. And there's 2 of them. One for pad deluge, the other for sound suppression. What are the 2 things by the engines that look like tombstones? Oh, for the shuttle? Those guys? Those are tail service mast umbilicals, TSMUs. Tail service mast umbilicals. Fuel lines, Grayson. They're the fuel lines. The reason why they look like they're inside of an armored box is because they are. When the shuttle launches, this area gets a little bit warm. So there is a slidable hood that slides down here, and the umbilical goes in like this, and the umbilical slide, and then the plate slides down in front of it. You want to see a video of it working? Here, I'll show you. So there goes your umbilical. It gets pulled in because it's on counterweights. Are the pads for SLS and Starship close to each other? They're about 1.5 miles away from each other, Metroid. And see the hood shut? See how it's kind of circular right there? The hood, it slams down. Because, like I said, this area is going to get really hot. You don't want to damage the umbilicals. Here's it from inside of the TSMU. See, there's the shuttle right there. You see the tiles. This is the OMS pod, so that means the wings are over here. Clunk. Ready? That hood. Yep, that's what the tombstones are. They're called tail service mast umbilicals. They hold the tail service masts. Well, the tombstones are called TSM. Sorry, I got that backwards. These are tail service masts, and the tail service masts hold the TSMUs. TSMUs are this thing right there. That's the fuel lines for the shuttle. This is what loads commodities into the shuttle. And electrical power. Oh, dang, that cameraman was very courageous. Yeah. How fast is this in real time? Okay. I said this the other day, but I'll say it again. 21 is the hour. 2 is the minute. Seconds. 1/10 of a second. Thousandths of a second. They don't go through hundredths. So, this right. So, hour, minute, seconds. That's 1 second right there. So, you're at 21:02:12. And the reason why they're using a UTC time code, the reason why they do that is so they can sync up the engineering cameras with each other. That's why this is here. So we have hours, minutes, seconds, 1/10 of a second, thousandths of a second. So with that being said, I'll show you. Let's go right to umbilical separation. Back it up just a little bit. Okay, there's umbilical separation. Ready? 1/10, 2/10, 3/10 of a second, 4/10 of a second, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1 second has passed. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is about 1.5 seconds. So 0, 1, done. Yeah, these things shut fast. They have to. Like I said, it's going to get really hot outside of this plate in a second. Very hot. Yeah. Starship, we talked about this yesterday when we saw Starship's hood. Super Heavy's fueling umbilical is going to do something like that. Only their SpaceX is going to be hydraulically actuated. These umbilicals aren't hydraulically actuated. They use gravity. Guys, like, once again, this is what I mean about you got to keep it simple. You'd think this crazy complicated umbilical would have some crazy mechanical retraction mechanism, right? No. You see these 2 wires right here? 1 and 2? The wires go through here on an idler wheel, and they go onto a pulley. And the pulley is connected to a weight. And the weight weighs more than the umbilical. So when the umbilical is hooked up, right, the weights are just kind of hanging there. When the shuttle goes, right, the umbilical is designed to basically pop off when it starts to pull up. Basically, the weights are going to try to keep the umbilical where it is. So when the shuttle starts to go up, the umbilical pops. You always disconnect your umbilicals after you launch. Seriously, I know that sounds ridiculous. Almost every rocket does that, Falcon 9 included. You know why? Because you don't want to have to send a guy, you don't want the umbilical to detach, right? And then you don't want to have to scrub the launch and then send a guy out to the pad, reconnect the stupid thing, and then come back. Umbilicals only detach on most rockets after the thing's physically off the pad. And what the umbilicals do to detach is when they get tugged up on, they separate. Yeah, pretty simple. It has to be simple. So when they get tugged up on, they separate, and then the weights do their thing and they pull the umbilical back. Watch when the umbilical separates. Watch these wires. They'll go taut. They'll go. See? Oh, that's cool, Switchio. Right on. Clink. This is basically a simple pulley. That's it. And it also, it has a damper on it right there. There's a shock absorber there, just so the umbilical doesn't smash into the TSM. They actually pumped the propellant through the shuttle into the external tank, which then emptied the propellants into the SSME, or the TSMUs use chill down or startup. I'll draw you a basic diagram. So, this is your ET. So you have the bottom of the LOX tank right there. That's too low. So this is the LOX tank. This is the LH2 tank, liquid hydrogen, and then there's an inner tank right here, right? That's what that lip is. It's a structural adapter between the two tanks. You got to keep them separated. You got to keep them separated because these two propellants have very, very differential temperatures when they're liquids. So the shuttle has an external liquid oxygen line, and then the hydrogen line goes something like this. Right? So the LOX and the hydrogen line come out like that on the external tank, right? And then you got your shuttle. That's not right. Just bear with me. Then you got the shuttle right here. The shuttle is not to scale. This is a terrible drawing. Here. I'm gonna not half butt it. Let's do this right. There's the silhouette of your shuttle right there. Wings still terrible. And then you got your three mains right here. Right? And then the TSMU is on the side, like this. So, on the starboard side of the shuttle, they load liquid oxygen. On the port side, they load hydrogen. Those are called the T1 and the T0. 0 is LOX, if I'm remembering correctly. And T1 is hydrogen. Now, they load through here, right? And then there's a splitter that goes into the engines, but it doesn't go in this order technically, right? There's a splitter, right? And then you have your input valve right there, and then from there it goes into the external tank, and those lines go twofold. So there's three tri-splitters in the back that kind of look like this. They're kind of over each other. Actually, it would be more like this because it has one engine on the top, two engines on the bottom. And then before those, between the tri-splitter and the external tank is the inlet valve from the TSMUs. And the shuttle, Hellfish, you got it right. They fill fuel from the TSMs through the shuttle into the external tank. Why? Why do you do that? Why make two fuel lines into the external tank? Why do that? That's just adding excess weight. Fuel, use the same umbilicals that you use to flow fuel in as you do to flow fuel out. That's what they did. So they fill up the tanks through the TSMUs. And then when the shuttle engines turn on, the TSMU separates and then plumbing goes right to the engines. Huh? Yeah, every shuttle was fueled through the shuttle. Think about it. It's actually really freaking smart. It's really not a bad way to do things. The reason why it's not a bad way to do things is because you want to make the external tank as simple as possible. So put all your refueling paraphernalia on the shuttle. That way you get your refueling system back every time. It's not just about getting the upper stage engines back. You get everything back except for the external tank. Why don't Starship needs to separate the LOX in the CH4 tank? A lesser of a differential temperature between methane and liquid oxygen, Rainy Boy. Also stainless steel. Stainless steel is good at insulating at cold temperatures. Long story short, it's built out of different materials and it's using different propellants. The wings would hit that too. Yeah, no, the TSMUs are above the wings, guys. How did you learn all this? I read, Kaylee. I read a lot. Even if the shuttle saves a ton of weight by fueling through the ET only, the extra piping required on the ET would have been a net loss of capability. Why add complexity, Hellfish? Why do that? Yeah, if the external tank's heavier, yeah, your payload mass is going to get screwed. The shuttle has a terrible mass fraction, but basically it's heavy. It's really freaking heavy, and it's very inefficient for what it is. But it's not that dry mass, that extra heaviness is unfounded. It's lugging all those tiles up into space and the thermal protection system and everything else. It takes its second stage engines with it, you know? The shuttle engines are only there for ascent. They shut off, and then you use the ohms pod up there, right? So basically they tried to get as much of the complex systems as they could on the shuttle and not on the external tank. They tried to make the external tank for as simple as it possibly can be. Offshore all the systems onto the shuttle. Now, that doesn't mean that the external tank isn't connected to everything else. They have the beanie cap on the top that vents the liquid oxygen and gets it away from the shuttle. And then you have your ground umbilical carrier plate on the back side of the external tank for venting hydrogen away from the vehicle. Because hydrogen needs a purge flame, because the purge flame will help move the hydrogen in the direction that you want. It has a lower mass fraction, Spraz, but yeah. Basically, it's big, and it has that gigantic payload bay works in both ways, you know. It was designed to launch spy satellites, but it also built a really nice space station, you know. Dish, what is this? What about stuff like this S4B that used a common bulkhead, different materials? The CBH would have to be thicker. Read Elon's comment. Yeah, okay. I will when I'm done here. One thing at a time, dude.
Go at throttle up.
Hey, Magellan, 54-month resub. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, guys.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, funny man, 33-month resub, and Magellan with a 54. Thanks, guys. The 54th anniversary is the hydrogen purge flame anniversary. Merry Chrysler, just a tad early. Yeah, you too, man, you too. What was the next question? Oh yeah, Pigzig, common bulkheads. So the Saturn V needed a common bulkhead. They did that to save weight. The common bulkhead needs to be thicker. It would have needed to have been thicker to help insulate against the differential temperatures that liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen has. Now, don't get me wrong. You can have a common bulkhead hydrolock system. Centaur's been doing it for years. But Centaur gets away with it because it's stainless steel. Now with the S4B, they had to have a thicker common bulkhead, but even a thicker common bulkhead would have saved more mass over an intertank design. Now, the funny thing about the Saturn V is that the Kerolox first stage, the S1C, actually had an intertank in it. You know why? Because it's stronger. It's not necessarily about differential propellants, but they had an intertank design in the S1C because the S1C, if it had used a common bulkhead, wouldn't have been able to hold up all that mass. Yeah, they just didn't have the manufacturing techniques at the time. Now, if we made a new Saturn V nowadays with like a friction stir welded first stage and F1B motors in it, that would be very useful. Orbital mechanics crafter is why launchers are at weird times. Funnyman had a okay, that was the third time I've said Funnyman's 33-month resub. But Funnyman, it is a 33-month resub, so I figure it'd be good to mention it 3 times. Anyway, so yeah, long story short, the common bulkhead, Pig's I'm not going to lie to you. They probably still took a performance hit. But it's not all about making it the most efficient. It's about making it work. The Saturn V had extremely tight mass constraints, so they probably said, screw it, this isn't going to work as well as it could, but also we need something. Yeah. That's what I mean about deadlines. We choose to go to the moon in this decade. That keeps NASA honest. You remember that whole part? Yeah, I've been on that spiel plenty of times. You guys don't need to hear about that. So, anyway. What is this? Interesting payload number. Yeah. Nice dish. That's good. It would probably be significantly lighter if you friction stir weld the Saturn V. Lighter and stronger, Jim. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. A Saturn V with friction stir welding would be... That'd be real good. Real good. Actually, Jim, if it was me... So, Jim, here's how I would set it up. First and second stage, aluminum friction stir welded. I would try to see if there's any margin to inner tank the second stage. So, basically take like a core stage, an SLS core stage, and shorten it and put an upper stage engine on it, right? Instead of the Saturn V's common bulkhead second stage, right? And friction stir welded first stage, right? With a common bulkhead, because you'd save a lot of mass that way, and it would be strong enough. I know that would be strong enough. I've seen what SLS's core stage can hold. It's definitely strong enough, right? And then I'd probably do a friction stir welded second stage with a common bulkhead, but I'd try to inner tank it if we could. I'd swap the inner tank from the first stage to the second stage to get better performance out of that S2. And then the third stage, the S4B, I would not make it out of aluminum at all. It would be stainless. Yep. Stainless. Balloon tank. Yep. And I know what people are going to say. Yeah, that wouldn't be strong enough. No, you're right. Forward load reactor. Yeah, forward load reactor. For the nerds that understand that. Grayson, nice. Centaur it. Yeah, but like Rocket Lab and Atlas and ULA's Atlas 500 series, the balloon tanks wouldn't be able to take the load. Hang it, just like Neutron does. Bigger, have a 10-meter payload fairing up the entire Saturn V, right? And hang the third stage with a forward load reactor. That's what I'd do. If we were gonna make a modernized Saturn V, that's what it would look like. For the mass that a forward load reactor would add, I don't think it would be worth it. Yeah, but for all the mass that the forward load reactor added, Roblox, we took that away by friction stir welding the first and second stage. Heck, I'll take a friction stir welded second stage with a CBH with Hydrolox propellants. That's fine. Sure. Yeah, you'd take a performance hit, but your third stage would be insane. Yeah. Third stage would be ridiculous. And then the third stage would probably have a cluster of RL10s, like an EUS almost. Yeah. In fact, just take the EUS and put it on top of a Saturn V. Yeah. If we want to do that. Yeah, that would be fine. The problem is that the higher up the stack you go, the more mass matters. Yeah, of course. That's why the third stage is a balloon tank. Why not just put Starship on top? Because it's a Saturn V. All right. Anyway, here. Speaking of nice rockets, check this out. Check this picture. NASA posted this on their image archive today. This is courtesy of Vulcan, who reminded me of it. I always say that they don't really show pictures of SLS all the way down to the ground. But here's a good picture of it. That's a fully stacked Artemis 1 right there. And this is a shot that's more of a wide-angle lens where you can see all the way down to the bottom of the VAB. See those little specks down there? Those are people. Yeah. On the 24th, Maka. The VAB is huge. SLS looks small inside of the VAB. Look at all this extra free real estate. Once again, see all this extra stuff? The VAB was designed to build much bigger rockets than a Saturn V or an SLS. It was designed to make stuff way bigger than that. What's that white cart thing? HVAC? Heating, venting, and air conditioning. I don't know what it's for. I can tell you it's HVAC from the tubes. Who you calling a spec, bub? Yeah, you ain't... I don't know. I can't hear you from being 500 feet up in the air. Sorry. Is SLS is roughly the same size as a Saturn V? Yep, pretty similar. Mm-hmm. Crazy, huh? Yep, it's designed to build a much larger vehicle. See, there's the top of the door right there. Doors can open up all the way up to here, I think, if I'm remembering right. So let's do that. Oh, they plan to. Soon. Orange Rock would be like, bruh. Bruh. Yeah, see, these guys. Mythical Block 2. Ain't mythical. It ain't mythical no more. It's on the books, you know, boring. That was the significance of that SRB block buy that I told you guys about the other day. I don't think anybody picked up on it. The SRB block buy has stipulations that Block 2 SLS must be flying by Artemis 9. Hence, the last 3 purchases of boosters were for the BOLE, from the BOLE program. Yeah. Block 2 is on the books. Yeah, that's... If I didn't emphasize how big of a deal that actually is, yeah, that's a big deal. Do they actually have a timeline for a Block 2 mission? There you go. What they're going to do, I'm pretty dang sure, what they're going to do is put Omega boosters on the side of SLS. You guys remember Omega, that rocket? The rocket that Northrop Grumman proposed for the National Security Launch Program, right? National Space Security Launches, or NSSL for short. That's what they proposed. They proposed using segmented boosters that were based off of the shuttle boosters, shuttle-derived, right? That were made out of carbon composite instead. They're carbon fiber SRBs instead of the steel casings that they're using right now. The carbon fiber SRBs are stronger and they're a lot lighter, which Block 2 will increase SLS's payload capacity pretty significantly. So we're talking about putting Omega boosters on the side of an SLS, and that's on the books, at least tentatively, for Artemis 9, which is pretty cool. That's going to be legit. Do you think they will stop using Hubble once James Webb is functional? They're going to stop using Hubble when Hubble breaks and we can't fix it. Get your money's worth, man. That thing was expensive to put up there. Use it until it doesn't work anymore. Now, can you imagine with an SLS Block 2? Can you imagine what that SLS Block 2 with that cargo fairing is going to do with Starship working in conjunction with it? Now, before people say, oh, well, EJ, why don't they just use Starship? You got to understand that SLS's payload fairing in Block 2 is as big as Starship. You have a payload bay that's this size of a Starship. Seriously, go look at the pictures. I want both of those. Yeah, I'll take both of those. Thank you very much. Yeah, I want both of those. How many blue whales is that? No, not you're not measuring it in blue whales, Deepak. You're measuring it in aquariums. No, not just a whale. They launched a whole damn aquarium into space. 50 years later, why is the biggest rocket we're making still just a couple meters taller than the Saturn V? Seems kind of underpowered for the material science that we have today. I talked about it yesterday at the very end of Space News, Swishy. I don't know if you were here. How many hand bananas? Yes. Swishio, the question that you just asked, it would be similar to asking... so think about it like this, dude. It's not a bad question, to be honest with you. Oh, well, the cars that we're designing today are the same size as cars 50 years ago. Why don't we make a bigger car? That seems, with modern science, we could make a bigger car. Yeah, of course we could make a bigger car. The real key there, Swishio, is that you don't need a bigger car. Understand? SLS was basically, I'll say basically, designed to go back to the moon. So physics can't be beat, dude. Just like with a car. Like, a car from 60 years ago is about the same size as a car nowadays. There are some variations. If it's a Cadillac, it's like 2 times the size, right? But cars are, for the most part, about the same size. They're close enough, right? SLS and Saturn V aren't exactly the same size, but they're close because they're designed to do the same thing. Just like cars from 60 years ago and cars today are designed to do the same exact thing, right? Does that make sense? It's the physics. Swishio, the physics. The physics, man. No, Swishio, no. That is so not right. Sorry, I'm sorry, Mercedes. I'm never gonna not. That's never not gonna be funny to me. Except we do the exact opposite things with cruising ships. The Titanic is like a quarter of the size of today's cruising ships, which is more appropriate of an analogy, IMO. No, Mikey, no. The proof's in the pudding. I don't think so, Swishio. I mean, the cruise ships nowadays are designed to move more people. That's not necessarily the case with rocket ships. I think a better analogy would be aircraft carriers. Aircraft carrier size is not that much bigger than aircraft carriers from World War II. They're not that much bigger. Don't get me wrong, they are bigger, but not by much. You don't just make a bigger aircraft carrier, right? Like, that's... I mean, you don't need to. I haven't even gotten to 1,000 Times series, but I'm not going to let it go just because I know it annoys you. Pigsig, it might be a loaded question, but what do you think a post-Artemis Mars mission architecture would look like, taking into account all the vehicles coming in the next bunch of years? Okay, Pigsig, what would I do? Is this a what would I do question, or where do I think it's logically going to go? No, this is so not right. Carrier size was limited by the Panama Canal. Yeah, actually, it's not anymore, but yeah, that's a good point. Pigsig, yeah, which one? Do you want me to say where I think it's going to go, or do you want me to say what I think it should be? Or, like, what would I do? Like, which one is it? It was a very good Jordan Peterson thinking moment. Sometimes, Spraz, it helps to just stop and organize. Yeah, he does that a lot. I noticed that, especially when you watch him, like, out doing his thing. He always sits there and ponders the question, which is not a bad way to do it. Elon does the same thing. It'd be nice to hear both. Where it's... So there are some contingencies involved here, okay? What's the contingencies? Okay, so let's say theoretically here that we're, where let's start with where Artemis would realistically go. And the contingency here is that SpaceX is successful in implementing Starship, okay? We know SLS is going to happen. That is much further, it's much further along than Starship in terms of development. It's closer to operational missions. But Starship is going faster. But I would say, by Elon's own admission, that Starship isn't definite. They haven't really reached that point where they get over the hump. They're not even close to that. They're not even close. Like, SLS will move people in a couple of years. in order for Starship to be able to match that flight, be able to move people to space in 2023, 2024, 2025, in order for that to work, you'd need to have flown hundreds of times, because no launch escape system, etc., etc. We talked about that in risk mitigation yesterday. We don't need to talk about it again. So, because you don't have a launch escape system in your design, you need to prove the reliability through high frequency of flights, like what SpaceX did with Falcon 9. Same exact thing, which is fine. That's totally fair. I think that's a very, very reasonable way to look at that. But we should play off the contingency that Starship is successful. Let's go with that. Starship is successful. SpaceX can launch it basically once every week. All right, we'll go with that. I think that's fair. I mean, once again, I still think we're on that path, which is why I'm entertaining this idea at all. But I know that SLS is going to be around in 10 years. Will Starship? Yeah, probably. I would say probably, but, you know, something might happen. You don't know. It's not set in... Starship isn't set in their ways. Falcon 9 is. Falcon 9 is set. That thing is frozen in design. It is pretty much rapidly reusable, and it can reliably move people into space. Falcon 9 is going to be around for a little while. That thing is way out of development now. Like, the last upgrade to Falcon 9 we saw was in, like, 2018 with the Bungamanoo mission, right? So Falcon 9 is solidified. Falcon 9 and SLS will exist in 10 years. We know that for a fact. Starship, not sure. Maybe. Who knows? Now, with that being said, let's play off the contingent that Starship is successful. Where do I see the Artemis missions going? I would use Starship to move people to and from the surface, which is what NASA wants to do, and I would use Starship to build stuff down on the surface of the moon. Basically, an avenue to get to the surface of the moon rapidly, basically on demand. I would use Starship. If I was SpaceX, here's what I think SpaceX should do. I would basically go. NASA says, like, oh, we only need one lander every couple of months. You know, it's not a big deal. No, I would say we'll have landers ready basically every month. And I would basically force NASA's hand to make more SLSs. Yeah. So hopefully it would get to a point where where we see people going routinely to and from the moon. Because SpaceX, once again, we're playing off the contingent that SpaceX can launch a lot of Starships and they can refuel it. Non-orbit refueling works, etc., etc. From there, I would use Starships for, you know, an avenue to get down to the surface of the moon really easily and start building out the lunar infrastructure. And then after the Artemis program, I would use SLS Block 2 to put transfer vehicles into space. Transfer vehicles. So we're operating SLS in an uncrewed capacity. And then, you know, this is into the 2030s. Well into the 2030s here. I would use Starship to move people and SLS to move big sub-assemblies into space. And then send the Starships up and have them build gigantic spaceships in low Earth orbit. First one should be used as a test to basically go out to the now decrepit Gateway, basically at that point. Use it to test fly going to and from, refuel it a couple of times, and then use that to go to Mars. I'm talking about gigantic freaking transfer vehicles. And these gigantic vehicles would have a Starship inside of them being stored as a Martian ascent and descent vehicle. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'd do. That's how I would do things. I kind of pivoted there from where realistically I see that going. I know NASA wants to build transfer vehicles, nuclear powered, to be able to get to Mars. Now, where Starship fits into that, I don't know. NASA basically wants to continue with Constellation, but on a much, much, much delayed time scale, which I always thought was a stupid idea. But yeah, I mean, if Starship demonstrates on-orbit capability and the capability of being able to, you know, fly up into space and down, basically do what the space shuttle was supposed to do, have Starships with robotic arms assemble vehicles in space. Now, a Starship could bring the payload up and assemble it like the shuttle did, which is, what, an 8-meter payload bay? 8-meter payload bay, maybe 20 meters long. Or you could use SLS, which has an 8.4-meter wide fairing that's 40 meters tall and move much bigger subassemblies up into space. That's where an expendable vehicle would thrive in an unmanned capacity. And this is not that's actually not my idea. That's a Homer Hickam idea. If anybody's watched October Sky, yeah, that guy, he knows a little bit about rockets. Yargles. So, Pigzig, where I realistically see it going is that, NASA will use SpaceX use the SpaceX lander to go back to the moon sustainably for a little while, get Gateway up and running, and then I know they want to build transfer vehicles. But they want to build transfer vehicles using manned and unmanned SLS, which I think is kind of, Nah, at that point, Starship should be flying with people. Once again, playing off the contingent that Starship is successful, I would use Starships to assemble a gigantic transfer vehicle, like the Hermes or something, and have SLS deliver the big components up there. Starships put it together, send it. Now, what would I want to do? That's actually not far off. That's not far off from what I would want to do, to be honest with you. Like Star Destroyer size, or how big would it be? Copernicus transfer vehicle big. Goalie, you're constricted by SLS's 8.4 meter fairing, but you can make really long components, so the ships will probably end up being really long. Do you think they should make Hydrolock Starship for the moon if they find plentiful water? No, John. Why? Why would you do that? Why? Oh, because plentiful water has hydrogen. Methane is CH4. So just bring some charcoal with you. Bring some charcoal with you. You create liquid hydrogen, you create liquid oxygen. If you have enough energy to create liquid hydrogen and separate hydrogen and oxygen, you could do a Saboteur and make methane, no problem. Can't they just use starships connected to each other? How are you going to connect more than 2 starships next to each other, Fed Up? Why waste propellant on gigaships every transfer window when you could just load up Aldrin cyclers? Implying that Aldrin cyclers are more efficient to get to the surface of Mars? Yeah, you need to electrolyze water, Spraz. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Long story short, Pigzig, no matter what happens, we're gonna need something. We're going to need efficient logistical transportation. So what does that mean? Starship is designed to launch people to Mars, and that's fine, and you can take cargo. I've always said that Starship is supposed to be like a 707 for space. Now, so airliners can move cargo and they can move people, right? What is the vast majority of stuff that's shipped around the world, cargo in particular, using? Is it using airplanes? No way. It never happened. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of cargo does get shipped by air nowadays. But I'd say easily over 60-70% of cargo is moved on container ships, big container ships. We need big container ships in space if we're gonna be serious about moving stuff around between planets. Not necessarily people. These ships would be crewed in some capacity, but we're gonna need to figure out the container ship for space, and we're gonna need to figure out intermodal containers for space. That is something that needs to happen. And it probably will over time. But, so, Castor, let's think about this for a second. What does a space container ship look like? Basically the truss segment from the ISS. The truss segment from the ISS with a little crew tank on the end. And you got to remember, a container ship can only stack cargo in one dimension, right? Or 2 dimensions. You can only go up and down, up and down, forward and back. And yeah, I guess, well, it is 3 dimensions. But you know what I mean? You can't put cargo like on the sides of the ship or on the bottom. In space, you don't have that problem. So, and this is really going into what EJ thinks. What I would do is make intermodal containers for Starship. Make a specialized form of transport capability, basically a tank that fits inside a Starship's payload bay that it can load, that can pick up take out. Something similar to the shuttle's payload bay and the shuttle pallet system. Something similar to that, but obviously much easier and simplified than the shuttle's pallet system. The shuttle had a configurable payload bay. You could put containers in, you could take them out, etc., etc. It could use the arm to pull them out. Something like that, but with kind of SpaceX's touch on it. And then those containers, those intermodal containers, will have axial, you'll have longitudinal ports and you'll have axial ports as well. Or radial ports. You'll have axial ports and radial. So you could basically attach the containers together like this, and then have a container ship that has containers going up, to the left. So zenith, nadir, port starboard, forward, and back. And what do these... okay, all right, cool. You basically assembled a huge container ship in space. What the hell? So what? What's going to propel it? Nuclear reactor? A nuclear reactor with solar ion propulsion. Because you got to remember, these things don't need to go fast. Just like a container ship doesn't need to go fast. How long does it take a plane to fly from Los Angeles to Tokyo? How long does that take a container ship? It takes a container ship a couple months. It takes a plane 16 hours. See what I'm talking about here? So why do we use container ships? Because they're way more efficient than an airplane. We're going to need to figure out something like that for space. And I don't think long-term chemical propulsion is a good idea. Like the nuclear engines are good for, like cislunar architecture and stuff like that. And you could use nuclear engines if you made a gas station on Mars, right? And don't get me wrong, container ships need to refuel too. But a nuclear reactor coupled to some scaled-up solar electric propulsion would yield you an extremely low thrust-to-weight ratio, but an extremely, extremely high delta-V numbers. That's what I think the future is going to look like, Pixig. That's what I think post-Artemis would look like. Once again, playing off the contingent that SpaceX is successful. That's where I think it's going to go. What about a shipping container that's basically an MPLM for pressurized cargo? Lunprod, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. Only Lunprod, my idea, you wouldn't just have a CBM on it like this, right? You'd be able to daisy chain containers together and stack containers up, down, left, right, whatever. As long as your TWR is balanced on the central axis, it doesn't matter. Why not build a massive ship using nuclear propulsion with starships connected to it? You could do that. That was my first idea, Tomas. They could do that. Let me scroll up. Could you make a continuous free return loop between back to Earth's orbit and have it continuously doing that loop? That's an Aldrin cycler goal. They looked that up. Yeah, exactly, Drummer, like the specifically shaped cargo holds. And how is SLS providing efficient space transportation in 10 years' time in the same world where Starship exists and performs as promised? Well, okay, twofold, Swishio. I don't think relying on corporations to get into space solely is a very good idea. That's really stupid. There's a commercial aviation industry, but there's also a defense aviation industry as well. Does the government operate 747s and 737s to move people around? Absolutely. Does it cost more than the airlines? Yeah, most likely. I don't think that's a good idea at all. Now, maybe if NASA wanted to buy a Starship and a Super Heavy and a launch complex and use that for their own stuff, I wouldn't have a problem with that. And I'm not sure if SLS is going to have a roadmap 20 years down the road. There's a lot of contingents there that need to go right. I mean, I think it'll still be here. I'm not sure if it's going to have its place, but I know that NASA, and I've always been really vocal about this, NASA should have their own in-house space program. And I know that's not a popular idea with, how popular SpaceX is. Don't get me wrong. I think SpaceX should eat NASA's lunch when it comes to launching things into space. I also think that too. Why do I think that? Because that'll force NASA, that'll force their hand. It'll force them to make a better space program. Or else everybody's going to say, what the heck are you doing? Heck, that's already happening right now. Would anybody here have a problem with SLS if it was like $100 million to launch one of those things? Would anybody have a problem with it? Even expendable? No. It's a check and balance, Swishio. Heck, the whole reason that SpaceX exists is because Elon Musk, one, the Russians did him dirty when he tried to buy the Nipper rocket. But two, he looked at the space shuttle and he said, that's a really stupid way of doing that. I can do it for cheaper. It's a symbiotic thing it's cyclical. They keep feeding off each other. And the government is a datum to have it's a point of reference to have to show that you're doing things for less. It always has been. I'm not sure we'd have a problem with it if it actually, launched. Well, that's why, once again, SLS isn't without its criticisms, but my thing has always been that we need to launch more of them, not less. I don't hate SLS. Those costs that we've incurred from that are for all this development of this great launch vehicle. Let's use it, please. Right? I always think that NASA should retain their own in-house launch capability for crew and cargo. The fact that they don't have any way to get crew into space without SpaceX's help or Boeing's help at this point, well, not Boeing's help, but you get the idea. I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. That's not a good way to do things. I do not want NASA beholden to corporations to launch people to destinations in space. I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, they kind of already are, but I would prefer them to have in-house capability as well. Hey, Meeps, what's going on? How are you? 99% done now, Zenchai? Cool. How you doing, Meeps? Everything good? All quiet on the Western Front? What happened between Elon and the Russians? SpaceX started because Elon Musk wanted to use some of the money that he made off of selling PayPal to eBay. He made a good amount of money off of that. He flew to Russia with a couple of his buddies and tried to buy a launch on a Russian Dnieper rocket. Okay? Why? Why did he do that? Well, he wanted to put a greenhouse on Mars and show a plant growing on Mars to inspire people. And the Russians didn't take him seriously. They said, really? This is what you want to do? This is a joke. Stop screwing around. This is a joke. And he's like, no, I'm not kidding. And they said, yeah, okay. No, we're not selling you an ICBM to launch a greenhouse to Mars. That's stupid. And he said, fine. Whatever. And then they left, and on the plane ride back, Elon started turning the gears. And he's like, nah, I could probably do it better than them. And then he started SpaceX. We all know how that story ended. Yeah, Neon. Bad move. Yeah, that's, don't get me wrong, Neon. Like, what would you expect? Some freaking millionaire guy comes over here. Elon couldn't have been more than like 20, 26, 27 at the time. I mean, this was back in the late 90s, right? Like, he's like almost like maybe 30. Some punk 27-year-old comes in and says he wants to buy one of your rockets. Like, yeah, okay. What if they had sold him a launch? Well, history would have been a little bit different. Well, they did call him a little boy. Oops. And now he does do it better than them. But see what I mean? It doesn't matter if it's the Russian government or NASA. SpaceX exists because Elon said he can do it for cheaper. But what's cheaper? Define cheaper. Cheaper than NASA? That's what I mean. Without NASA being there as a way to understand what's cheaper and what's not, you need 2 points of data to sample this problem. Right? So NASA should always retain its in-house capability and not be beholden to any single entity to be able to launch into space. But simultaneously, at the same time, NASA should utilize and tap into the commercial industry to do stuff, which is basically what they do, guys. That's what they do right now. But I think they should have their own architecture. So, Swishio, I don't know. In terms of, like, straight capability, dude, I don't know what SLS is going to do in 20 years. I have no idea. I mean, Starship should theoretically put it in the poorhouse. But also, at the same time, you don't want NASA to lose capability. That's a bad idea. Every time NASA has lost capability, we haven't gotten it back. We surrendered going to the moon for reusable low Earth orbit capability, right? And then we surrendered reusable low Earth orbit capability for nothing. See what I'm talking about? That's not a good way to do things. Ain't nobody out there going to convince me that less money for NASA is better for NASA. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Hey, Gioni, 5-month resub. I agree, but also, at which point would NASA, with an entire already limited budget, want to pay for one SLS instead of 5 Starships? Swishio, long story short, by that point, SLS will not be as expensive. It won't be as expensive as it is now. Costs go down over time, the more you make, right? So SLS won't be that expensive. I mean, Starship will probably still be less expensive because SpaceX flies it a lot, right? But what I'm telling you is that the control, like, you have to have a control. You always have to have, redundant capability, man, between commercial providers and between commercial and government. Switchio, it's a firm philosophy that I stick by. Starship will probably eat SLS's lunch. I firmly believe that, and that's a lot of the stuff that the SpaceX, the SpaceX fanboys that are around, this is what they say, but I don't think they really understand why. You know what I mean? It'll eat its lunch because it launches more. But I don't think what they understand that if NASA comes along and says we're going to launch SLS once a month or 12 launches a year, I don't think they understand how much that price is going to go down. It will go down a lot, to almost to the point where it'll be competitive. But I think at the end of the day, NASA shouldn't, I should say, surrender their own in-house launch capability. I think that's a really bad idea. So SLS might be redundant to Starship. It might be way more expensive in the future, but also at the same time, that's a check. It's a checks and balance to making sure that space flight is always competitive. It's a check and balance to make sure to ensure long-term sustainability, which is why I believe SLS is purposefully drawn out. Everybody notice how slow they go? That's on purpose, guys. That's on purpose. So SLS doesn't go anywhere. Now, a lot of people a lot of people say, like, oh, that's just because they just want to keep the status quo going. Yes, they do. If they don't keep the status quo going, SpaceX has nothing to say, hey, we can do it better than you. Them keeping the status quo is inadvertently pushing SpaceX innovation. Think about that for a second. It's true. Well, Forge, I hope so. They certainly have the capabilities to be able to do it. They could launch more. They could redo more high bays in the VAB, and Michoud could crank out more than that. Why not? Do they have enough RS-25s for that? We're talking 20 years down the road, Dutch guy. I mean, they're going to have to. Okay, all right. Here's another example. Here comes the post office example for people that understand this, for people that know this. You've heard me say this before. Dutch guy, do you have government mail? Do you have a post office? Swishio, do you? Forge, do you? I know you guys, we're all over the place here. We have the U.S. Post Office that's subsidized by the government. Right? Everyone has a post office. Why? Why have a post office when you have FedEx, when you have UPS, when you have DHL? I mean, DHL post office, I mean, just saying. But you see what I'm trying to say? Why does the post office exist then? Because the post office offers capability that those other guys don't do. All right? There's more services from there that aren't necessarily in line with commercial logistics, right? So why do we have the post office? And don't get me wrong, this is a rhetorical question. The post office should exist. So companies like FedEx, companies like UPS can say, look, we can do it for cheaper than them. Because that market wouldn't exist if there wasn't a datum that was established by the government. Same exact thing as SpaceX. See what I'm talking about? Now, in the future, I don't know. I don't know what that holds. But I think that launching rockets into space is a logistical service, just like moving mail around. It is. A lot of people think that the U.S. plane industry, right, started because of defense spending. Nope. Sorry, Hans, wrong guess. Would you like to go to Double Jeopardy where the stakes are even higher? The post office started the commercial aviation industry in the United States. True story. Yep. Interesting, huh? Moving stuff into space is just another logistical service. And if it's another logistical service, just like the post office is, Swishio, yeah, Starship would probably be way cheaper than it is to launch on SLS to move stuff into space, right? But so that's basically what that's going to do is force NASA's hand and make them make a more competitive vehicle. Just like the post office has to kind of inadvertently stay competitive with FedEx and UPS. See what I'm talking about here? That's what we need to do with space. You want long-term sustainability? That's how you do it. I know SLS is expensive. I get it. I understand it. But it's something that you need to help establish long-term sustainability for launch capability and for future logistics services in space. You need that. What in terms of straight capability, though, like Starship should be better because economies of scale wins every step of the way. It doesn't matter if it's trains, cars, planes, spaceships. You build more than the other guy, you'll pretty much be okay. I mean, that's no economic policy is certain. Okay, it's all about application. Economics is like engineering. There's not one end all be all solution, and anybody that tries to peddle that nonsense has no idea what they're talking about. I've heard some people at Blue directly reference postage when saying their goal is to build a road to space. Yes, Meeps, exactly. That Blue, this is why I like Blue. That's their overarching goal. Their goal is different than SpaceX. SpaceX wants to make life multiplanetary. Okay? So they want to build a city on Mars, right? Blue, what they're trying to do is help not help, they don't help each other, right? But they're trying to kind of pull up another side of that by building the avenue to that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'll explain it like this. You're driving across the United States, right? You're driving across the United States. Your destination is Los Angeles, right? Is there no cities between Boston and Los Angeles? No, there's places to stop. Blue is working on those places to stop. The gas stations, the rest areas, the truck stops in space. That's what Blue's trying to figure out. It's smart. It's a really smart... It's not copying SpaceX. It's a little bit of a different flavor, but it's a necessary thing. Because those, like, you guys want your Amazon packages here on time? Those rest stops, those truck stops, those gas stations, all those cities out in the sticks help support the supply chains, right? Which we're having problems with right now, so it's kind of a bad argument right now. But in a not crazy world, understand? Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Literally Amazon in space, Swishio, you know, but not like that. That's kind of... It's kind of like that, though. See what I'm talking about? So what is SLS going to be like in the future? I don't know. But I know it will exist. It has to. Because Swishio, consider this. And everybody else, consider this. You have to... In order for spaceflight to succeed sustainably, you have to have a government option and a commercial option. Okay? Now, if anybody here knows what happens when you have no government intervention and you have a commercial market just kind of take over, what's the end result of that? A monopoly, right? Bad idea. Very bad idea for for a service going to the moon or service going to Mars. Not a good call. Bad. Bad. That's not good for long-term sustainability. That's going to cause stagnation. That's what monopolies do. They stagnate the economy on purpose. Right? So, you know, you need to have public and private. But also, at the same time, if the government is the only one that has access to the moon, well, we can use history for that. Once the Soviets figured out the Americans wanted to ramp down the Apollo program, they canceled their moon program, and then we used that as an excuse to ramp down Apollo even further and cancel it and replace it with a more low-cost solution. If governments are the only people with access to the moon, you're also going to get stagnation. You're going to have to. See what I'm talking about? Do you want total recall in space, where you're beholden to a corporation to go to Mars? Hell no. No, I don't want that. That's not going to lead to progress. No way. Not a chance, man. They have to both exist. And this is what I've been trying to tell people for years now. They have to. They got to both exist. If they don't, you're going to get stagnation one way or the other. History has already proven half of that. It is better than not being able to go to Mars, Yarg, but that could create scenarios like Elysium. Never, you remember that movie? Where all the rich people move into space? I mean, that could create a scenario like that. I don't want that. Do you want that? No. I want to be able to fly to Mars like I could fly to Florida. Understand? Strong disagree. It's literally better to not go than to do it so poorly. Fellas, yeah, okay, I'll give you that. That's not... I didn't explain myself good enough. That's not exactly what I'm getting at, to be honest. But yeah, I guess that is an unintended thing. It's better to go than to not go, even if it is with a corporation, right? But you got to understand, if we have government and corporation, then that's gonna make it, instead of going and it costing $1 bajillion, right? Because a corporation is going to jack the price. I'm not saying that SpaceX would do that, but you never know, right? It would be better to have. I'm talking about progress here. Each one of those ways eventually leads to stagnation, where the status quo becomes the norm, and we all see how bad that is for spaceflight. That happened during the shuttle program. Not a good idea. It happened during the Apollo program when they figured out that there was no competition. Like, SKS, it's more of safeguarding all of our options for long-term sustainability and progress as a species. You know what I mean? Like, having the post office on Mars and having FedEx on Mars or Amazon on Mars in the future is a much better way to achieve sustainability and establish a logistical route between Mars and the Earth. That's a much, much better way. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that just having commercial get there is bad, because I think SpaceX's goals are noble. I don't think they're doing that for a buck. I think they're doing that for a much more noble reason, as stated by Elon. But maybe in the future, SpaceX isn't the only way to get there, You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's a good idea. I wouldn't trust a corporation with that kind of capability, and without redundant capability from the government. I don't think that's a good idea. Did that box get there today? I don't know. I haven't checked. Fellas, look, I as a spaceflight fan, obviously I want more. I don't give a crap. I'll take whatever way we can get. If SpaceX puts SLS in the poorhouse and we have to use Starship to go everywhere, so be it. I think we could be in a much better position if, like Blue does the same thing, or Blue works on the gas stations, for instance, right? And then NASA keeps going with their exploration program, right? I think we could be in a much more sustainable position if we do all of those things. You know what I mean? And doing all of those things is not mutually exclusive. We can do that. We are doing it right now with SLS and Starship. Redundant capability in the space program is good. And once again, it's what I keep saying. No one here is going to convince me that less rockets flying is better for spaceflight. And no one here is going to convince me that pulling NASA funds is going to be better for NASA. That's not how that works. Having the post office on Mars is important, yes. I'm saying that allowing a corporation to be a single player in an environment where you literally can't live would be a disaster. It's an environment that you can literally commodify oxygen you breathe. Yeah, Cohagen in Total Recall, SKS. That's what I mean about... Okay, so we're on the same page. That's what I'm trying to say. I just didn't say it right. Sorry. It's tough to try and collect your thoughts on this off the cuff. You know what I mean? I have no prep for this type of conversation, But yes, what you said is exactly what I'm talking about. Not a good idea. Cohagen, give these people the air. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't able. I didn't say it good enough, and that's on me. I gotta say it better. But that's what I'm trying to say. You said it better than I did. So once again, Swishy, to go off your question, and it's a good question to ask. Where is SLS going to be in the future? It'll probably still be more expensive than Starship, but that's fine. I'm okay with that. What are you going to do? Defund NASA? It's absurd to me that there are spaceflight fans out there saying that, we should defund NASA because SpaceX can do it better. That's literally the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And that opinion gets peddled a lot. Kind of to the point where you're like, what? You're a spaceflight fan and you want less rockets. Okay. Huh? What? Come again? Oh, cool, Hellfish. Oh, nice, Evil Rays. There you go. Yeah, Shrub. Shrub, this is what I live and breathe. I literally think about this problem every day. The space container ships that I'm talking about with nuclear ionic propulsion, like, I think about this problem for fun because I'm a loser. Like, maybe not a loser. Dork is the right way to say it. I'm a freaking huge dork. I mean, now, one could make the argument that, you know, the government doesn't need to be involved. It could be competition between corporations, right? And that's fine. You want to do that? That's fine. That would also be a good sustainable way in the long term. There are a lot of people out there, like Elon, Jeff, that have a lot of money to throw at spaceflight for a nice, healthy, long-term competition in space. I'd be cool with that. What I'm trying to tell you is that with the government program on top of it, well, yes, being more expensive is a more sustainable way. Because now you have a three-way battle, not a two-way battle. See what I'm talking about? That is the best way to achieve long-term sustainability. Now, once again, I say the best way. There are other ways to do it, right? You think that SLS might survive the next 30 years? Yes, absolutely. Because NASA's mission is inherently different than SpaceX's, man. They're different. Post Office versus DHL, Forge. See what I'm talking about? National Mail, Royal Mail, if you're from England, versus FedEx. They're different. It's two different things. They do similar things, but they ain't the same thing. See what I'm talking about? Would you keep streaming for the next 30 years? Forge, I will stream as long as my health permits. The only thing that's going to pull me away from the stream is honestly a job in the aerospace industry. Like, for instance, if I hit the lottery, I'd start my own aerospace company. Do I know what I'm doing? No. Did Elon know what he was doing? No. Am I comparing myself to Elon Musk? No. I'd probably fail. Yeah. Oh, I'd fail. Yeah, I probably wouldn't do as good as him. He's way smarter than me. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Look at my mustache. I'd still try. Screw it. Hey, Roro, I'm very much not saying that NASA should get defunded, but everyone wants the best bang for their buck, though. But, Switch, you understand that having that expense with the government program is giving you the best bang for your buck, right? How do you know it's a good deal if you don't have something to compare it to? See what I'm talking about? I would work for you? Oh, thanks, Ram. So, Forge, if streaming is my long-term ticket, I will do this until I can't do it anymore. NASA budget is already in the hole, and they do so much with so little given all their mission and reason. Well, Roro, the reality, you're right, but the reality of that situation is that spaceflight is not as expensive as we think it is. I mean, they're talking about billions of dollars here, billions of dollars there, millions of dollars here, millions of dollars there. Guys, that's like a fraction of a penny. It's like Office Space. You know, NASA's budget is the tray, the pennies for everyone, the science for everyone. I always screw up some mundane detail. Oh, this is not a mundane detail, Michael. No, Michael, no, this is not a mundane detail. Sorry. Yeah, exactly, Swishio. I guarantee you that there are people right now looking at Starship, writing the best things, now are ready to invest in Starship startup as soon as... Yeah, Swishio, I mean, but an unregulated market, it leads to stagnation. And I'm not saying commercial competition is bad either. We should do that. Swishio, what I'm saying is we should do everything. We should do everything to safeguard sustainable spaceflight. And that means a government program and redundant dissimilar commercial programs competing with each other. I want Blue Origin and SpaceX. I want Elon to troll Jeff so much that Jeff gets pissed off and starts to spend money on Blue Origin out of spite because screw that guy. All right? And then I want Blue to build something ridiculous. A Starship killer. Yes, fight, my pretties. See, I told you. Dork. See? That's what I want. And you know what? I think Jeff's taking the bait. Good. Get on it, man. Get it done. I'm in. Let's go, baby. You know? You go talk to Joe Barnard and convince him to double NASA. To Joe B. Joe. Oh, yeah. Wait, who's Joe B? I'm confused. 2012 to 2016 was a pretty stagnated time in aerospace. Yeah, Sky Seas. We discontinued the shuttle, canceled Constellation, and put all of our eggs into the Commercial Crew basket. Where did that get us? 10 years of doing basically nothing. I mean, yes, they're building SLS. That's a biased way of looking at it. They're building SLS and they're working on it, and Commercial Crew has been pretty much a success. That was a good call. But also, we had a decade of stagnant spaceflight. DM2 didn't fly until 2020, almost 10 years later after STS-135. And then we relied on Soyuz to go up there, which is fine, but conveniently, the Russians just doubled the price on Soyuz when the shuttle stopped flying. Funny how that works. And, dude, I've done the math out before. The Russians were charging $70 million a pop because they had a unique capability. They were the only ones that could launch stuff into space. And you know what? I'm not saying that they're jerks for doing that. I would have done the same thing. So, $70 million per seat. So let's see. Soyuz carries 3 people. You're paying $70 million a pop for a seat. Each Soyuz is going to have 2 seats on it. So that's $140 million to move 2 people into space. How much could the shuttle move into space again? 7? How much did the shuttle cost? Notional or nominal cost for a shuttle in 2011 for the stack. So basically, how much it cost per launch is about $450 million. 7 people. Do the math. See what I'm talking about? No good. The price basically is the same. We didn't get a good deal on that. What are you talking? We got the shaft. And you know what? It's not the Russians' fault. We did this to ourselves. Good. They should charge more. Why wouldn't they? That would be still, oh yeah, we'll give you a discount because we were the only ones with that capability. Oh, okay, Meebs. Cool. Yeah, man. Cool. I got your message. Right on. Yeah, I'll see what we can do, dude. We'll see what we can do. Yeah, Forge, I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, Rogozin about ExoMars with English subtitles. Cool, cool. No, Dimitri, no. No, that's not right. Yeah. But see what I mean? You stagnate the space program like that, costs end up ballooning and going through the roof, which is exactly what happened. All right. Anyway. Okay. But anyway, yeah, Swishio, I hope that answered your question sufficiently. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to go on these crazy long diatribes about this stuff, but this stuff, it's important, man. It's super important. This is what I'm trying to... I guess the whole gist of what I'm saying right now is that we got to this point by having government and commercial spaceflight, and it's the most prosperous time. It's one of the most prosperous times in spaceflight history ever. In the spaceflight's short history, I should say. So, why would we change that? Just keep running the course, man. Yeah, I get it. SLS is expensive. I'm not saying that it's not. You're absolutely right. And I think citing cost for that is not unfounded, right? But you got to understand that SpaceX Flying Starship is going to force NASA to bring their price down, or they won't do it, you know? Or they won't keep doing it. And that's going to create a more sustainable ecosystem for long-term spaceflight. Too bad that Elon didn't supercharge the price for the Cosmonaut Sweet Sweet Revenge. Well, it's NASA that chooses who flies on the Commercial Crew space flights, Swishio, not SpaceX. But You know, we know that Falcon 9 costs $60 million. I'm pretty sure that putting people on top of Falcon 9 is not $60 million a pop. You're definitely not paying $30 million a seat to put people on Dragon 2. I'm pretty damn sure. How much does NASA pay to ride on Dragon? It's a push, Crafter. They swap Soyuz seats for Dragon seats. It's an exchange. It wasn't an exchange when we didn't have our own launch capability. How much money did we end up giving the Russians? And once again, this is not, I'm not trying to be like, oh, the Russian boogeyman. People that say that stuff is stupid, especially when it comes to spaceflight. Like, it jacked up the price. Yeah, you're telling me that we wouldn't do the same? Give me a freaking break. You know what I mean? You have to have government, you have to have commercial, man. That's the only that's the best sustainable way forward. But anyway, let's move on. Boop. Okay, so the head of Roscosmos, Dmitry Rogozin, instructed Energia to develop and submit a plan for increasing the production of manned spacecraft of the Soyuz MS series for the development of space tourism. About that long-term sustainability? Very interesting. That really gets the noggin jogging, doesn't it? Oh, look at that. Oh, look. Vindicated. What I'm trying to tell you is that, yes, chat, yes, this is right. This is the good call. We should have done this from the start. Another reason to give the Russians money was that the Russian rocket scientists wouldn't go... Well, that's... Yeah, Far, you're right. That's it. But that was more for engine exchanges, etc., etc. But yes, that is a good point. A bit of a tight squeeze to compete, it feels. I mean...
Tranquility here.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Soyuz is a little bit of a tight ride, but if a smart car is the only way for you and your buddies to go to a restaurant to eat, are you gonna walk? Or are you gonna take the smart car that's a tight fit? Hint, in this analogy, walking is not an option. I mean, as much as I would like to walk to space, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can run fast enough. Tight is right. Elon himself said that. Yeah, that's a good point, PY. Yes, Elon, yes, that is right. Interesting, WW. You haven't tried in a sufficiently small enough grav well. Yeah. Wayne's World style, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Galileo Figaro. But in that analogy, there are alternatives. You just need to see what schedule you could accept. Yeah, I mean, let's say that the restaurant's 100 miles away. You're gonna take the car. You're gonna take a tightly packed car. You're gonna walk. You know what I mean? That would be us in a Soyuz. So, Dutch guy, you're telling me you want to launch in a Soyuz and blast Queen on the way up? Think a little Bohemian Rhapsody, gentlemen? Good call. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'd do that. Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We'd have to play Don't Stop Me Now. And right when the song drops, 'cause I'm having a good time, that's when the rocket needs to separate. I'm a shooting star that's leaping through the sky like a tiger. Yeah, that'd be good. Working toilet is important. Нет, here, have bag. Calm down there, Medi Furkery. Look at me. Look at me. What are you expecting? This song at a rocket launch. You got to be careful about linking me songs, guys, because the DMCA stuff. Really, please be cognizant of that. Oh, with that being said, very good choice. Sometimes I'll play this. I'm pretty sure is okay. If we only play a little bit of it, just a teeny weeny bit. Sometimes you just gotta sit back and let it ride. Alright, we can't listen to the whole thing. We'll get in trouble. Yep. Yeah, that's good. That's good launch music. Yep. I don't know what. Yeah, switch yell. I mean, that's what it does. Yeah. Dodo's hands up. Yep. We'll find Decker. We'll get him. All right. Anyway, what else do we got? This is Dimitri Rogozin talking about the ExoMars parachute. Let's see. Closed captions.
Сити Холл состоялся Всероссийский образовательный бизнес-форум «Репутация». Деловое событие Министерства культуры России открыла сессия «Профессионалы будущего». Генеральный директор
Is this Russian TED Talks? Oh boy.
Корпорации «Роскосмос» Дмитрий Рогозин рассказал о прорывных технологиях ракетно-космической отрасли России, страны, впервые открывшей миру космические горизонты.
Космическая наука. Неужели есть более интересные вопросы в жизни, чем вопросы о том, существует ли кто-то еще, кроме человечества, в космосе? Вот у нас в следующем году Роскосмос отправляет вместе с европейскими коллегами на Марс миссию «Экзомарс». Миссия нацелена только на изучение, были ли какие-то признаки жизни, органической жизни, да, на этой планете, или не было никогда. Я уверен, что мы должны искать. А если взять военный космос, которым мы тоже занимаемся, реально сейчас органической жизни, да, на этой планете, или не было никогда. Я уверен, что мы должны искать. А если взять военный космос, которым мы тоже занимаемся, реально сейчас на боевом дежурстве находятся наши ракетные комплексы. Не надо стесняться своих комплексов, особенно боевых. Сейчас Роскосмос работает над новым комплексом. Это «Сармат», это стратегический боевой комплекс, который лет на 40 обеспечит безопасную жизнь вашу, ваших детей, внуков. Занимайтесь чем вы хотите. Имейте свою гражданскую позицию, суверенный статус страны. Не бойтесь ничего, потому что есть такие комплексы, которые не позволят никому покуситься на безопасность нашей страны и ваших детей.
Okay. Yep. That was a little bit about ExoMars and a lot about other things. Yeah, Edwards, I kind of purposely didn't want to translate the rest of that, but it's not translated. I'm just reading the captions, you know. James Webb soon. 24th, arguably. Venus is Russian. We must protect sovereign Venus, BY. Must protect. Must protect Venus sovereignty. We send Venus is Russian planet. Yes, it's Russian. Anyway, send you a message in Discord. Yeah, Novus, I think, yeah, Twitch doesn't like that. Yeah. Share your opinion on the final F1 race. I'm happy Red Bull won. Mercedes got hosed by an F1 call. No, it's not right. Toto is correct. That needs to change. With that being said, I don't think the results should be changed either. The stewards need to be changed. The FIA needs to abide by its own rules, because if you don't, who cares? What are the rules for? And that's pretty much the 5-second version. Why am I legit anxious for James Webb? I'm not. I'm not worried at all. I've watched some of them awesome, yeah. Some of Yusaku's videos. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. ESA's article about the ExoMars parachutes. Double drop test success for the ExoMars parachutes. Largest parachute set to fly on Mars has completed its first successful high-altitude drop test. Critical milestone for ensuring ExoMars mission is on track for launch in 2022. Cool. Cool. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Swishio, for ExoMars, this is additional testing on top of everything else. The mission was basically ready to go for the 2020 transfer window, but COVID actually screwed that all up. So more testing and more validation on those parachutes ensure more mission success. That's not a bad thing, dude. Good. That's cool. Oh, by the way, I played your Powerball numbers. I won $8 on a $10 slip. 5 numbers. What? Really? Take a picture of the ticket. You can just blank out the barcode. Take a picture of the ticket. I don't believe you. I swear. Show me the ticket. Once again, put your hand over the barcode so nobody, because the barcode is how you scan the ticket. I have the screenshot of the numbers that I played. Anyway, give me 1 second, guys. I gotta shoot a message here. Give me 1 second. You know what I'm saying? These are messages that I gotta send these real quick, guys. Sometimes I have to do something that stops the stream real quick. But yeah, give me a moment. I'll get back to you with more space news in a second. No, don't worry about it, dude. It's fine. It's fine. There we go. Anyone got any good jokes? Yeah, actually I do, because Geeson had a honk in there a second ago. What is this? Here, let's take a look. I'm just going to put that right up on the screen. I almost didn't recognize this guy while shopping. Now I'm feeling like a tool. Stanley Kubrick. His typing sounds so angry. I always type like that, dude. I'm heavy on the keyboard. That's why I have a keyboard that's why I have a mechanical keyboard with caps, because dude, just how I learned to type, I'm really tough on the keyboard, which is probably not a good thing. It's about the FIA, enough said. That, and I might be trying to go a little bit faster because I just, wanted to say that, but also I wanted to go back and forth, I got a good joke, Chevy. Nice. I got a funny picture if you need to cheer up. Guys, no, I'm good. I wasn't asking, you should have listened. Can't be tight if it's a liquid. Nice, Dan. Alright, anyway. Let's see. So, hey, Zonic, 54-month resub. Only 100 more to go. Jeez. Alright, I got that. So, check this out. Next bit of news here. NASA astronaut Stephen Bowen, 3-time shuttle legend, and Woody Hobart are on his first trip to space, will serve as spacecraft commander and pilot on SpaceX Crew 6 in 2023. Woody is part of the Turtles. He's in the same astronaut class as Johnny Kim, Caleb Barron, amongst others. And Stephen Bowen is actually, 3-time shuttle legend would be putting it lightly. Stephen Bowen is the only astronaut to fly on 2 missions back-to-back. He flew on 116 and 117. So, up on one shuttle, down on another one. Trained for like a little bit, and then flew up on another one again. He flew on back-to-back shuttle missions, which is actually really freaking cool. So, that's Crew 6 in 2023, which is pretty rad. Oh, wait, no. It wasn't 116 and 117. Here, Chris B has the scoop. That's not correct. I apologize. Bowen flew with Endeavour on STS-126, Atlantis on STS-132, and Discovery on 133. It was 32 and 33. I apologize, guys. That's my bad. Replacing Tim Capra, all from 39A, which is also where Crew 6 will launch from. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yep, Atlantis, Discovery, Atlantis, and Endeavour. That's pretty awesome. Here, let's see. I like that. Why did he do back-to-back missions? Tim Coprey, who's the backup crew for the next one. 10. Yep. Yeah. Ah, it's a South Shore guy. Okay. Yeah, Cohasset's out by Hingham and Marshfield. That's on the South Shore there, guy. Cool. Sweet. So that's pretty awesome news. Alright, what else we got? Oh, there's another one. NASA's Perseverance rover, guys, figured out that the soil from the Jezero crater is actually volcanic in nature, which is pretty cool. They found basically ash from lava in the soil, basically showing that Mars was once a place that at least had, well, I think that, forgive me, that I'm not that good at geology. I think that proves that it had plate tectonics at one time because it had volcanic activity. But I'm not sure if plate tectonics and volcanic activity, like one means the other. But either way, volcanic eruptions are cool. That's really good. They found volcanic soil. Yep. No, Ren? Explain. I should talk to Rocket Sage about this. Even then, like, volcanoes are good. That shows that Mars was very different than how it is now, even if it's not exclusive to with plate tectonics. Discord DM. Oh boy. Getting a lot of those lately. Oh my god, you did win. Hired, that's so strange. Okay, that's weird. Plate tectonics can and often do lead to volcanism. Okay. But it depends on the stage of tectonics during its history. But you cannot have plate tectonics without volcanism. My curiosity, I want to know what created the canyon. Well, if you looked at like a satellite picture, Pythos, of the Jezero crater, which I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, it looks like a river delta, but it's a river delta with volcanic ash. That really gets the noggin jogging. Olympus Mons is big because of the lack of plate tectonics. Yeah, you're right. That's right. I remember that. No, the canyon. I'm failing to get the reference. You know, the largest. So the Mariner Valley. The whole of New Zealand is made by plate tectonics plus volcanoes. Auckland City sits on 53 volcanoes. Why in the name of God would you build a freaking city there? When you say it like that, it doesn't sound very appealing, but whatever. Box Canyon? Yeah. What I'm saying is that SpaceX and Blue Origin should have bases in a box canyon on Mars. And the only reason that SpaceX should have a red base on Mars is because Blue Origin should have a blue base in the same box canyon on Mars. They're all dormant or extinct? That's what Earth wants you to think. No, lightish red. No, not, yeah, lightish red. That's right. Yeah, no, you're right. Took me a second. Yes. No, not pink. Lightish red. Lightish red. Is NASA developing small nuclear reactors, nuclear thermal propulsion SkySeas, and compact nuclear? Yeah, it's kind of in the background right now. Not the most prominent thing around, but yes, they are. Can I be Caboose? Sure, why not? Yeah, man, there you go. I don't know about that Cybertruck. It's kind of looks like a big cat. What, like a puma? Yeah, man, there you go. I have grilled cheese and soup. Oh, why are you mentioning food, man? Why would you do that to us? Yeah, Chaos, I think you know, Auckland would go Atlantis on us if that happened. You're making that up. Now I have to watch it again. Why does it have 6 pedals if it only has 4 directions? All right. So, let's go down to Texas. We talked about the launch sites there. We're going to go down to Texas, check out the NASA spaceflight vids for Starship. We got one new video today. Let's see what's going on down there, and we'll go. See those tow hooks? They look like tusks. What kind of animal has tusks?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Didn't I tell you to stop making up imaginary animals, chat? Hey, Mute 57-month resub. Thanks, buddy. Alright, let's take a look. So this footage is coming from NASA Spaceflight, Boca Chica Go, and Nick and Sweeney down there. So Mary and Nick are NSF's 2 full-time photographers giving us daily content here from Starbase. Make sure to go over there and support NASA Spaceflight, please. Because what allows them to do this, if you go over there and support them and let them do this, they let me do this. They let me commentate on this video pretty much unabated all day. So trust me, go over there and support them so I can keep doing what I'm doing here. And it looks like they're taking the radar off. Your toast has been burnt. No amount of scraping will remove the black spots. What are they doing to Starhopper? It looks like they're taking that Garmin off, but I'm not sure. Let's take a look. Nice, Smirks. Cool, I didn't know that. Neat. I'll have to check it out. Maintenance, maybe? Well, Zonic, I don't think it's maintenance. If you look, the GPS is hanging from the crane hook. So I'm thinking they're going to take that off. And also I saw the thumbnail. The thumbnail showed a different thing up there. I don't know what it is, though. So this is SN20. SpaceX is doing something strange here, guys. There's something weird going on. It almost feels like the same kind of way it felt when SpaceX stopped doing hops, like after SN15 landed, and they started ramping up production of the orbital launch pad. Something changed. I don't know what it is. I'm not 100% sure. Well, it could be, but it also couldn't be. I'm not, like, I don't really have any good theories as to what they're doing and why. And once again, I don't have any insiders telling me what's going on. I try to guess. I try to use this NASA spaceflight footage to try and figure out what they're going to do. So here's the information that's given. SpaceX took the lift points off of SN20. They took the lift points off. Those lift points up there were the lift points that they used to put the vehicle on the stand. They're gone. They're starting to cover up the six hoist points with tiles. So that means that they can't lift this thing up off the pad unless they use another mechanism. The only other mechanism that's on SN20 is the supposed mechanism that the tower will use to catch the thing. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. The immediate and the Occam's razor thing, the simplest solution is probably the most likely, is that they're going to try to lift Starship from these hoist points as another test for the tiles. But I don't know that for sure. I haven't seen any type of paraphernalia that you would need to lift this thing correctly. So, like a load spreader or anything like that. So, yeah, very interesting stuff going on with 20. But it does look nice. That looks like a spaceship, man. Can't they launch it from where it is? Well, yeah, Zertam, but SN20 is supposedly going to launch into space. It can't get into space from there. Well, actually, I don't know that. Maybe do a test to make sure you can flip and land while the tiles are on it, maybe? Well, Ren, I wouldn't rule that out. I wouldn't rule it out. So what? Okay, so let's play off that for a second. If they were going to do an SN15 style test with SN20, what would we look for? Landing legs? It would need landing legs, even if it's those poopy flip out landing legs that that SN15 or 8, 9, 10, 11, and 15 used, right? You would need landing legs. What else would you need? They'd need to clear the landing site behind the orbital tank farm, right? Little poopy legs. They're little stubby boys. You know what I'm talking about? So, what should we be looking for? We should be looking for them to clear out. They should be clearing out the landing site, and we should see some landing legs arriving to the pad if they were going to do that. Right? So, I haven't seen any landing legs for this thing. And this is something that Thomas was telling me about, guys. This one actually isn't my idea. He didn't see any landing legs, and Thomas is kind of my whisperer for analyzing this footage. He doesn't get any outside sources either. Yeah, but how are you going to put them on while it's on the stand? Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. That would be a little bit difficult, don't you think? I don't even think 20 has the mounts for those landing legs. I think they changed the thrust structure so much because the vacuum engines are there. So how the heck are you going to put any landing legs on that, right? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I'd say a jig to pick it up by the chopstick hoisting points is probably the most likely thing here. A suborbital hop, if they were going to do that at this point, would probably not be landing. It would probably be expended, like a hypersonic test article. But I don't know. Full test for landing, but in the ocean. Exactly, Zonic. They might be doing that. Why risk the vacuum engines? That's right. I don't think they would want to do any test that could delay the booster plus ship. Yeah, Pixon, I agree. So that's why that's very strange. It's very strange to me. So this one we came up with a pretty good solution for. They're just going to try and pick Starship up from its hoist points. And they're going to do that to test stretch on the tiles to see if tiles pop off when they pick it up. That's the most likely solution. And that's what I think is going on. But I'm not 100% sure. What's making me second guess this whole thing is what's going on with the boosters. So that's booster serial number 4 right there. So just booster 4 for short. Booster 5 is basically a carbon copy of that thing. They put booster 5 out in the field. They took it out to pasture, literally. And they put it by SN15 and SN16. Why would they do that? It's not finished. It's not even finished. It still has a bunch of parts hanging off of it, right, that aren't installed. Why would they do that? That seems weird. Now, if that seems weird, what's even weirder is that booster serial number 6, or at least something that was labeled as booster number 6, is a test article. It's not even a full booster. It's the top of a booster and the center section of a booster. Like, it's the top and the bulkhead. It doesn't even have the bottom. No thrust structure. And they moved booster 6 onto the dynamic load simulator, which is even weirder. That's very strange. Why would you do that? Oh, okay, Procyon. I'll check that out. But maybe they figure it out. Maybe they figure it will be a month before they can get environmental clearance. Well, environmental clearance should be by the end of the year, Ren. That's by the FAA. The FAA said that. They said the programmatic assessment will be done by the end of the year. So, who knows? This is the possible solution to lift Ship 20 from Pad B, right? Something like that, yes. Hey, Norlock, gifted a sub to Space Trey Brew. Thanks, buddy. Maybe they moved to Raptor 2. Pizen, maybe. I did see a 13-engine thrust plate just popping up in my feed from NSF. Maybe they'll show it. They have another booster thrust plate that has the 13 engines in the center, on the center thrust structure. So that means that that's the 33 engine booster and not the 29 engine booster like what booster 4, 5, and 6 were supposed to be. Booster 8, as far as I understand, is the one that will have the first booster that will have 33 engines. So yeah, very, very strange. Let's keep going. Yeah, there's some weird things going on. Like 5 and 6, Booster 6 being a test article and Booster 5 being taken out to pasture, that's really confusing. Something changed, Pixon. I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out. We don't have enough information presented. But the other thing that you could tell is that work is still going full bore, basically, on getting the launch pad done. Maybe Booster 5 had a flaw which they couldn't fix. I wouldn't want to be finding flaws in the design at this point, man. But maybe. They did cut 6 down and make it a test article, so maybe that's true. Maybe there's something with the 29 engine design that they didn't take into account, you know? big, isn't it, Hilness? She's a beast, man. It's also important to note, guys, that this was taken a day after they put the booster on the pad, and the booster still has the load spreader and the crane attached to it. That's very telling. This tells me that the booster isn't going to stay on that pad for very long. They're doing a fit test, most likely. They're probably going to pull it off. Why would they leave the crane attached to it if they weren't, right? Yeah, they have username. Entropy, I think that's what happened with SN16. We got confused when they moved SN16 out to pasture before, and we figured out that the reason why they did that is because they changed Starship's design so much with 20 that 16 is basically useless. They changed the umbilicals, they changed the plumbing, they changed the, you know, the engine configuration. Well, I'm not sure if the engine configuration is different, but you get the idea. I think I would piss myself to be up that high. Yeah. Yeah, Katra, it's very interesting. I mean, they didn't do it with 16, so why would they do it with 5? I just checked. The load spreader has been disconnected from the booster. They did? Okay, so Spaceman, then what I was saying is wrong. If they had the crane connected, that means the booster was probably going to get pulled off soon. But if you look at NASA Spaceflight's live cam and it's not connected anymore, now, is it just not connected, dude? Or did they bring it down? Is the crane doing something else, basically? That's what I'm asking. Also, nice lattice crane. Yeah, they'd probably dig it, Hilness. It's still hanging up there? Okay, interesting. Okay. What are those black rectangles? Ren, those are nitrogen composite overwrap pressure vessels to be able to restart the center cluster of engines for super heavy landings. Nitrogen is the spin-up mechanism for it, for super heavy, from what I understand. They moved the crane away, but the load spreader's still in the air. Okay. Well, moving the crane away is telling. They wouldn't move the crane away if they planned on picking it up anytime soon, so... Jeez, that's big. Some guy's working a jackhammer. Yeah. Ren, something that I really didn't know is that the Raptors are using a torch igniter, but even when I knew the Raptors were using a torch igniter. Basically, a pilot light for the rocket engine. Yeah, basically that. But even then, you still have to figure out a way to move all the propellants in. What I've been seeing is that Raptors are using, or what I've been, not seeing, what I've been, just from the COPVs on the side of Super Heavy, and the pad doing the pad venting out nitrogen, not nitrox, liquid nitrogen or gaseous nitrogen. I think that the Raptor engines on Super Heavy use nitrogen to start them up. I think that seems right. I'd have to talk to Rocket Guy about this. Any propulsion experts out there? I mean, we do know that that Raptor engines have had problems in the past of ingesting nitrogen. So we do know that nitrogen does exist in that that system somewhere. I'm not sure if it's for starting. Like I mean, they're not going to use T-Tab. That's not very sustainable for restarting rocket engines on Mars, But then again, neither is nitrogen. you know? I think so, Kamir. Yeah. That was helium ingestion. Yes, you're right. You're right, it was helium. It wasn't, because they switched to the helium ullage. That's right, instead of autogenous pressurization. I'm wrong. You guys are right. I thought the plan for Mars was paraffin rockets. I have no idea where you heard that, Iger. All right. I don't think so. Maybe for somebody else, Iger, but not for SpaceX. No. So those could be helium COPVs, which is interesting. Either way. If it's just for spin up and not for ullage, then high pressure nitrogen is enough. Yeah. Oh, nice, Clayton. Neat. Yeah, see, they're putting the tiles on. They put plates over those hoist points. They're putting those tiles on. Man, this is really dude, I say it, guys, I say it every stream, and I'm sorry, I'm probably sound like a broken record at this point, but that looks very, very spacecrafty. Spacecrafty? Technical term. This is really, really starting to look like a reusable spaceship. I got some real shuttle vibes from this thing going on here. It looks right. It looks like how you would expect a future reusable spaceship to look like. You can see the new lifting point below the flap. Yeah, this right here. No, I got you. I wonder how the flap changes are coming. Yeah, Core. I don't know. Can I zoom in under the flap? NASA spaceflight will do it in the next shot. Yeah. Yeah, right there. Now, the real question is there some kind of latching pin or something? Having a pin as a hoist point on a vehicle is not a bad way to do things. Especially on parts of the vehicle that get warm. See, it looks like a pin fits in there, right? Like it's the inverse of the super heavy hoist points. What are those reddish tiles? Rust? I think that's leftover residue from the glue from the tiles, Sam, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Now, yeah, see, you wouldn't want a pin sticking out right here. You wouldn't want one because the reentry the reentry heating is going to come at you this way and this way when the thing comes back for reentry. So you don't want anything sticking out there. So this is going to have to be the passive port, and whatever this latches to is going to have to be the active port, right? So that's not the first time they've used a hoist point like this. The bracket that the shuttle used to be hoisted up onto the demate device, this is the device that they'd use to pick the shuttle up and put it on the 747. It's basically a big crane for the shuttle that lifts it up. 747 drives under it. They drop it down on it, and then they go. But check this out. Look. Same bracket. Well, not exactly the same, but it's a pin. You see what I'm talking about? Now, it looks like that, but I don't think it's going to be like that. Now, why? Well, the mate-demate device didn't catch the shuttle when it was landing, okay? SpaceX has stated multiple times that the chopsticks are going to catch Starship as well as Super Heavy. And if you're going to do that, I'm not sure how that's going to work. There is a puck that slots into that slot. You can see them on Mechazilla. Okay. So, Core, if that's the case, if there is a pin like that and a pin and latching system on Mechazilla, what's going to be holding Starship up while they latch the pin? Genuine question. I'm just trying to talk it through so I understand what's going on here. Trying to find an image. Okay, cool. They don't think it be like it is, Slackster, but it do. But that is up past where the hot stuff is, right? Not necessarily, Ren. Starship is not going to re-enter like this or like this. It's coming in at a very high angle of attack. Because it's exposing the hemispherical bottom of the vehicle to the re-entry effects. That will keep the hypersonic boundary layer away from Starship. A circle is not a bad shape for re-entry. It keeps your boundary layer away. So if basically the plasma knife, if it's further away from your vehicle won't get as hot. Yeah, Electron, I know. The plasma knife. The tiles held on by glue? Some of them are, Taka. The vast majority of them are bolted on with a mechanical system. It's like a press pin. So like you know the tile, if you set it on the pins and then you bump it and it locks into place like a clip almost. Well, you can see it on the small arms for the lower hard point. I believe that they are the same from the top. Not sure what would hold it other than those. Yeah. Interesting. The pin is embedded and it extends out. That's Uber Monkey. That, you know what? That's not a bad, yeah, that's not a bad way of looking at that. Maybe that pin, maybe the thing that actually extends out, because that's a hydraulic right there, maybe that's on the inside and they push out. Maybe it's just a hydraulic cylinder that zips out and it's held down on those. That, dude, I think actually that's probably more likely. Because you need something for load bearing, dude. Monkey, good call. I think you're right. I think you're correct. Bunny! 7-month resub. Thank you. It doesn't make any sense to increase the complexity of the vehicle with an extending pin. The complexity belongs on ground equipment. Yeah, that's what my gut tells me too, Predominant, but okay, you're right. You're exactly right. You want to make the vehicle as least complicated as possible, right? So, how does it catch it? Like, and once again, honest question. How does it catch it? Does it land on the wings? I mean, I guess I'd be worried about the tiles getting a little fricked up when the thing went to land, but there's thermal protection system on the wings. Yeah, see, that's what I'm getting at. How do they catch it? What are they gonna do? I mean, a Starship is not gonna just hover there and then they're gonna locate the dowel pins, right? Like, I don't think it'll do that. I mean, if space, like, let me put it to you like this: if SpaceX can figure that problem out, I will be very impressed, because that would be, I mean, it's not impossible, it's just really difficult. But then again, look at what they're doing, so who knows? They're catching the booster, not the ship. Predominant, they've said that they want to catch the ship and the booster with this thing. But yeah, I mean, you could be right. SpaceX's plans change all the time. I haven't actually seen them say they're going to catch Starship with this thing in a couple of months, so who knows? Maybe they gave up with catching the part for now, as it will be a while till they attempt to catch one. We just have the parts needed to place it on the booster for now. That's another good point, Pixon. Yeah, it could be. Predominant, maybe we're looking at an unfinished system. Oh yeah, there we go. Yesterday, Elon said that they're going to catch both of them from that stop motion graphic. Here, I'll show you. This is a tweet from a guy on Twitter named Owen Sparks who did a little animation here. Let's see. So, okay, we have our launch. A little stop motion action. Word. perfect loop. And Elon said, yep, that's the plan. Okay, well, there's a confirmation right there. So, yeah, I don't know, dude. So, for now, Predominant, if your boy, if the meme lord or the techno king himself is saying they're going to catch the starship, that goes back to square one. How the frick you going to catch that thing? I don't know. Yeah, very interesting, right? I like it. It's a fun puzzle to solve. I just can't figure it the frick out, man. It's still really exciting, though. I'll tell you that. Nice truck. Bird. With open arms. Mechazilla, his arms wide. Elon and Gwen at Boca Chica. Shaka when the booster launched. I understood that reference. Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. When the walls fell. Elon, his tweets trolley. Yep. Use the force, Harry. Yeah, W. Mm-hmm. Chopsticks, when the rocket landed. Mechazilla, his arms wide. But how many lights? If the orbital launch tower has it should only have no more than 4. Not 5, not 3, but 4. Right? There should be 4 lights on the orbital launch tower. Any more and no. Don't be gaslit by Romulans, chat. There are 4 lights. Remember that. Can that tower withstand a failed landing? Sky Seas, the way I look at it is like this. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that a rocket crashing into it is good for it. But I'm also not going to tell you that SpaceX probably has taken that into account, you know, because they're trying to catch a booster. They probably built it strong enough to be able to withstand a good blast. And the other thing is, I'm pretty sure if it can withstand a rocket launching next to it, it should be able to handle a rocket landing next to it. Right? Like I think that's a reasonable take on that, yeah? Yes. 4 lights is Kardashians, not Romulans. Tanner, don't be gaslit into false sci-fi facts. Yeah, you're probably right, dude. They have to be RGB, Crip. Of course they're RGB. Why would they not be RGB? RGB will it'll add 30 extra delta V to the rocket if it has a bunch of cool lights on it. Duh. Bro. I'm sorry, all right? I teach rocket science, not common sense, all right? Well, I kind of do that too, but it should have racing stripes on it too. Damn it. It'll add 30 horsepower. Yeah, see, they took the GPS off there. What is that? Is that a party hat? The box said 10 horsepower. No flames, though. Does a rocket need flames painted on the side when it is, in fact, something that produces the flames itself? Honest question. Christmas hat. Oh, okay, Conehead. Yeah, Starhopper must be French. Yes, more flames equals better. Okay, you're not wrong. All right, I'll give you that. I mean, I'll be honest, guys. I don't see any reason why SpaceX couldn't get away with painting graphics on the side of Starship, just like planes paint graphics on the side. Maybe in the future, we have Starship with, like, airbrushed re-entry heating on the top. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't want that. I kind of do. Looks like an integrated self antenna plus air data probe. Yeah, it's definitely some type of... Yeah, that seems right, Bloody. A Starship with the shark mouth? Yeah, like a P-40. I think that would get burned off because it has to be on the windward side, but... Pepsi logo? No. Texas Institute of Technology school advertisements. We should always advertise more STEM. Nah, man, Bullet Bill. Now that would work. Bullet Bill would be great. I'm not going to say a starship wouldn't look good with some pinstripes, too. You guys are right. I mean, but, yeah, Roro, that's the thing. I'm pretty sure whatever they paint on Starship is going to get burned off during re-entry. Just like the Pepsi logo on the Concorde got burned off during flight. True story. What are the cylindric tubes? Old COPVs, Genesis, for Starhopper. They painted the COPVs, which is strange. How are you doing? I'm good, Ismic. How are you? Incoming cease and desist from Nintendo? Yeah, maybe. How about this? The only logo that should be on the Starship is the NASA meatball. Well, flames aren't a logo, Hokey, but yeah, I agree. Worm logo, though. It's got the right aesthetic. It needs the worm logo. Meatball would be okay. Worm logo on the sides, meatball on the top. Yeah? Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Just like Falcon 9. It'd be perfect. Because it was a test article, Captain, and they wanted it to look nice. Wormball gang, rise up. Hear me out. American flag from top to bottom. Stars and stripes. With the stars like up at the nose cone and the stripes down. Yeah, that would look pretty baller, AJ. Yeah, that'd be pretty sick. That'd be pretty sick. How is Hearts of Iron 4? Good. You made some progress today, moving in the right direction, but once again, it's too early to tell if I'm going to be successful or not. Yeah, the red, white, and blue striped smirks like the Astrovan. Yeah, I'm in with you on that one. How much methane is being converted from the atmosphere? I don't think they've started doing that, Ren. Yeah, Bob. We'll see if it's enough to withstand Barbarossa. SpaceX truck. SpaceX Ferd. Mint. I did that for one of my, on my first kind of kick on Hearts of Iron, Buck, like, I don't know how long ago that was. That's what I did. I made Barbarossa work. It involved nukes, and I waited a little bit. Yeah, I waited. I didn't do Barbarossa until 1943, and I had V2 rockets and nukes unlocked by then. Yeah, they pushed right to Moscow. Mainly because there was no army to stand in their way because I turned them into glass. Yeah. And then I took over Africa. All of it. And then I staged an invasion of South America from West Africa, crossed the Atlantic into Brazil, took over South America, and then worked my way through Central America up to the U.S. border. And the Americans put their army on the southern border, and I promptly turned them into glass too. And then I took the entire continent. I had the whole world taken over by 1962. Some real man in the high castle stuff. And then Japan tried to be like, hey, we're here too. And then I turned them into glass as well. That's from a long time ago, guys. That wasn't my Hearts of Iron playthrough today. I don't understand how new Hearts of Iron works nowadays, man. They changed, GNAC, that new patch changed so much stuff that I'm really confused. I don't understand it. Damn, calm down. Okay, you're not allowed to have nukes. Why? It's just, why? Keep in mind, guys, I'm talking about a video game that I played. It's just a game and in no way reflects any historical context or my views on anything. It's just a game. Stop turning people into glass like some Cinderella story. Cinderella didn't turn to glass. Her shoe was glass. What, did they screw up the dub or something, Solar? Jesus. If Cinderella had turned to glass, man, those stepsisters, evil. Oh, don't worry. I'm always itching to use nukes when I unlock them in Civ. Yeah, Jonas. I mean, I didn't take Moscow. I didn't get to it. I went into the Urals. That's the difference. I didn't try to push to Moscow. That's a waste of time. I pushed for the factories and the oil. So no Army Group Center and no Army Group North. I just put Army Group Center on defense, and I pushed center to south, if you're familiar with the Eastern Front. Army Group Center and Army Group South both went for Stalingrad. I didn't bother with Moscow, and then Army Group North basically just stuck to the border. It worked. Yeah, username it is. It is. Michael, no, this is not right. We should be getting an update tomorrow on whether that 12/24 date for James Webb is going to stick. Novus, I'm torn. I simultaneously don't want James Webb to slip anymore, but also Christmas Eve. Yeah. You can slip a couple places. Someone say, what? Tempo said anything about oil, man? You cooking? Oil? Oil? Let's get out of here. Yeah, solar, me neither. That would really suck. See last post. What's up, Forge? Remember the James Webb Space Telescope drop Photoshop I made? Someone took it and made it an NFT. I don't know how to feel about that. But talk softly and carry the sour bomba. Oh no, I didn't talk softly. I did my talking on the battlefield with sour bombas, which are loud, so yeah, I didn't do that. Oh yeah, Genesis, this is Hearts of Iron though. Guys, that whole context is in Hearts of Iron. I did it in Hearts of Iron, and instead of making a dirty bomb, I made the fission implosion. Plutonium. Basically wrecked everybody. It's pretty awesome. But then again, Hearts of Iron has gotten a lot more complex since the last time I played them. That's why I suck so much all of a sudden.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Thanks, buddy. Nuclear drifting, 24-month reset, 2 whole years and many more. But I use Jewish physics. Heisenberg. I mean, Amanda, maybe I didn't do that whole thing in that Hearts of Iron playthrough. See, that's the beauty of Hearts of Iron. You can do whatever the frick you want. Doesn't need to be historically accurate. Mine wasn't. Maybe I, didn't just do that whole persecution thing. And turns out they were a lot more successful. I know, right? Funny story. I know. It's funny how that works. It's just... Oh, okay, John. Cool. On the catch arms, the parts that hang, which look to attach to the lower Starship pinholes, have small hydraulics on them, which look to pinch the arms out. You're talking about this thing, right? But on the other side, there's something. This thing. Yeah, that. Yeah, I wonder what the heck that's about. Not that. Huh? Okay. I'm not sure what this hanging hydraulic is there for, guys. I can't figure that one out. Yeah, I don't know, Nikita. It's very strange. I don't know what that... I don't know what... The cylinder on the top right there. You should skip Satisfactory tonight and play the new GTA Online DLC. Nah, I'm jonesing for some factory building, bro. Look at the middle of the forklift basket. So, this thing? Before this shot. No. Top left, silver. That? This guy. So this sucker over here? You can see it better back a little bit. Alright, we'll just go through these shots again. You guys timestamp me, okay? I'm just gonna keep the bar up. You timestamp me here. That looks like spray-on foam insulation over there. Your next video, Wolfram. Got him. Okay, yeah, Core, just give me a timestamp. It's easier to account for chat delay. $12.25. That thing. Okay. That's a pneumatic valve. Or a pneumatic jack. It's a pneumatic actuator. The piping to it is a dead giveaway. Actually, no, that could be hydraulic. I'm not sure. Either way, so note the silver pin on the edge of the shot. It seems to be the pivot point. Okay. Yeah, so these things are at the bottom of the chopsticks and they're gonna, like that, right? They're gonna fold up. Now, okay, two things. Just let's back it up a little bit. What does this have to do with catching it? How? So these things are going to do this, yeah? Doors that open up like this, or like this, not like this. So they're going to fold up, right? How are you going to catch Starship with that? Like, once again, genuine question. I'm wondering. Judging by the lines, it looks hydraulic. Very short stroke. Stabilizing arm for after the catch. Yeah. They attach to the lower two hard points on each side. So, Core, just to make sure we're on the same page, there's those points that are behind the arrow control surfaces, and then there's another set below them, right? These attach to the lower set on Starship, correct? Yeah, on Super Heavy as well, but put Super Heavy over there. We're talking about Starship right now. I understand that they'd use a common latching mechanism. Okay, so if that's the case, and these attach to the lower points on Starship, that still doesn't explain how they're going to catch it. Yeah, Ren. Yeah, because of the stroke. Yeah, so those things aren't going to do this. They're most likely just going to move it inward just a little bit. Not this, just like that, right? All right. To catch a Starship, you must use Starship bait. Of course. What's Starship bait? Did you see the ejectable flight recorders on SN20? How will they survive? They're probably buoyant, Forge. Yeah, no idea how the top works. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, cool. I knew about this here. I was wondering if we had any type of other theory on how the frick they're going to catch that thing. Yeah, they're flight recorders. Interesting. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Just, yeah, judging by the angle of that flange that's behind me and you guys can't see. If you look at this piece right here, that bottom bracket at the bottom of the arm is angled out, so that means when it folds up, it's going to be straight. Yeah, see, we still haven't figured out how that thing right there, you see that point? How is Starship gonna do that? Yeah, Clayton, it's a very short stroke piston. It's only just designed to do this, not full range of motion. Based on where the upper lift points are, right behind the flap, could a solid CNC milled stainless steel pin survive the plasma in that spot? It might, Mile, but do you take the chance? Is the thing there? Oh, Starhopper's new party hat. Neat. Yeah, see, you can see the point, the attachment point, the secondary one, right there. Yeah, I see it. It's right there. See that little spot? You mean the dunce cap? It's not big enough to be a dunce cap. It's a party hat. What's funnier than a party hat that's too small? Yeah, flight data recorders. There they are. Yeah, Bile, maybe. I can understand, well, you know what? I can understand why SN20 wouldn't have catch pins then. Because it ain't getting caught. Maybe a future Starship Mile probably is going to have something a little bit different, huh? They're orange so they can find them, guys. I'm pretty sure those things float. But I could be wrong. Either way, that looks pretty rad, man. Get out of your way. That looks pretty freaking cool, dude. This right here in the center, in front of the crane, is the remnants of Booster 3, which, yeah, and then there's Booster 5, SN15 and SN16. 5 is in the center, 15 is here, 16 is there, and 6 is the one that's on that thingy-majig over there. Well, if they put the flight data recorder on, we're getting closer to a launch. Yeah, T-Man, that's, yeah, pretty astute. You're right. What type of launch is what I'm trying to figure out, you know? Could be January, could be February, who knows? Yes. That looks like Kevlar rope. Yeah, Trebrew, right? Starships look strange to me now without the tiles on it. That looks it just looks weird. Orbital, that would make sense. They covered up the hoist points on SN20, T-Man. Which is very strange. Starlink still go for the morning? I'm pretty sure, yeah. Pretty sure.
Discovery, go at
Hey,
throttle.
Ghost One, 9-month resub. Look at that sub-assembly being moved. It's crazy. Wind. These guys are putting together the structure. Let's just move this house size segment, indeed. For the orbital test, the lift points would have to be removed anyways. Why test only a partial thermal protection system at that point? Why test a thermal protection system that you're going to need to change in the future, Hellfish? Looks like they scrapped that, whatever that thing was. Forklift. 2 forklifts prominent. 2 of them. Twins predominant. Twins. Pork biffed. I guess, T-Man, maybe. That just looks strange. I know what they're doing. It still doesn't change the fact that it looks weird. I don't think they've ever launched twice in the same day, username. They've launched twice within 24 hours before, if I'm remembering right. Not from the same pad, though. Question: Is a fully fueled Starship Is a Starship fully fueled and no payload Starship capable of putting itself into a high suborbital path that could test the thermal effects of re-entry? Yeah? Sure. But the real question, Oki, is would that re-entry regime be similar to the one that they would have coming back from low Earth orbit? We know from the parameter video that those are way different things. They're both re-entry, but the heating and the thermal loads are completely different. What a shot. Right? Like, I don't know if that would be a good test or not. And when I say I don't know, that's not implying like, oh, I don't know, maybe they shouldn't do it. I actually have no freaking clue. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe. Could be carried by an African swallow. Oh, yes, but African swallows are non-migratory. Oh, yeah. The thermokinetic displacement of reentry at random velocities and angles through a plastic nonlinear density, which could be subbed up with this equation here. Maybe a low Earth orbit that isn't fully circularized, or they go up and then deorbit after getting to orbital speed. Hokey, my guess would be an eccentric orbit with a high apogee. An eccentric orbit that's decaying. So perigee below 100 kilometers and apogee up above 1,000 kilometers. That's my guess. Why? Why would you do that? That would give you a reentry trajectory that's relatively similar to a reentry trajectory that would be encountered coming back from Mars or the Moon. And if I was SpaceX and I was engineering a thermal protection system, that's what I would design it for. I would design Starship to be able to hit the atmosphere going 30,000 miles an hour. Similar, well, not 30,000. 25,000 would be about what you'd get coming back from Mars and the Moon. I would make sure the heat shield can withstand that. Because if it can withstand that, suborbital hops ain't a problem, right? Well, Core, it's just a guess. How else are you going to have it do a once around? What other type of orbit would have it do a once around without any on-orbit thruster capability? Genuine question. I missed like a month or two. What's new at Boca Chica? Oh, Melg. A lot. You want to see ship 20? Look at this thing. Let me find a full picture of it. It's unbelievable. Look at that. Last month, SpaceX said they want to do at least 12 launches next year with Starship. I'm super happy about that. I agree. But yeah, anyway, guys, what other type of trajectory would you put in to be able to do a once around without any orbiter maneuvering systems? Yeah, that genuine question. I don't know. Like, that actually brings up another point. What is Starship going to use for orbiter maneuvering? Is it going to use RCS? Raptors? You know, like, there's no ohms on this thing. But then again, I'm not sure if there has to be either. It looks amazing, though. Yeah, right? And the booster for the orbital launch test is on the pad. See it right there? Next move by SpaceX. I think they're going to pine for an orbital flight test, guys, which is what we're talking about with their trajectory. Monopropellant RCS. Would that be enough to do a deorbit burn though, Nikita? I mean, maybe. Reminds me of Buran. Okay, all right. It's not a bad thing to remind you. Not a bad thing to be reminded of, I should say. Anyway, Flight Sim, how are you? Everything good? Gotcha. So waiting for all the pieces to come together. They're really waiting on the FAA, dude. Programmatic environmental assessment to take into account that they're launching more from Boca Chica than originally anticipated. That's all. Raptors for docking? Well, they need some type of close thruster, right, Alien? And that's what the RCS is for. But are you going to use the RCS for orbital maneuvers like that? I don't know, man. Deorbit burn, why would you not do that with the main engines? Well, Cerebral, my question is, why do that in the first place? Which tells me that either Starship's test is going to circularize and do a deorbit burn, which is what we're kind of talking about here. That just looks really strange. Or they're going to put it into a high suborbital trajectory, so an eccentric suborbital trajectory. Almost orbital, very close to it. Yeah, Mel, right? Living the dream, dude. Living the dream. Always watch the VODs on your work breaks. Subscribe to YouTube as well. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the support. Can you go back 10? That thing looked like it wiggled on the corner. Give me a timestamp, Condor. This thing right here? The test article? Yeah, you might get some shifting back and forth, but one more. Just before 19 minutes. Okay, cool. Yeah, she's wiggling a little bit. Just a little bit. The SPMTs are compensating, though. Mitra, we talked about... I led Space News with that, dude. I led Space News with talking about the new launch sites. Personally, I like LC-49. That's cool. But I think they should just build 39C and extend the crawler way. But, yeah, she shook a little bit. That's okay, Condor. It's fine. It's gonna shake. You're taking a corner. It's gonna do that. I mean, it's on a damn trailer. What do you expect? Yeah, right. That's such a strange view. Here we have the little baby test article hiding behind its mother as we go and scope it in its natural habitat. Peekaboo. LC-39C already exists. No, it does not, Joe. I know you're right, but you're also wrong. No, that's a parking lot. Don't get confused. The only people that can lay claim to having parking lots be a launch site is Astra, and they're not using that parking lot. So guess what? It's a parking lot. It's terrible. Terrible. I hope so, Mitro. They're not calling it 39C. They're building it where 39C should have been, and they're calling it LC49. Supposedly. The only city on the Florida coast without a beach. Yeah. What day's time do you play Kerbal now? I feel like I always catch you during early hours or during Space News, which used to end at 6ish, but now it goes on till 8 or longer. Then you're playing Satisfactory or After Hours games. I don't play Kerbal. Nuclear. I'm on a break. I'm on a break, dude. That's all. No, Kerbal isn't going anywhere. I'm just on a break. I want to play other things. Taking my first break from Kerbal in 8 years. Yeah, just on a break. Just playing the other games, getting them out of my system. Yeah, no problem, dude. Yeah, no. Taking a break, dude. Mission mode was stressing me out, and during the holidays and stuff, I kind of need to play it cool because there's a lot of stuff going on. And Nuclear, Remo and I are, planning a wedding and stuff. So there's a lot of stress going on, and it was pissing me off and manifesting itself in the stream, and I was taking it out on viewers, and that's something I don't want to do. That's not right. It's not right. So, how many hours do you have on KSP? 15,000? Wedding when? Sometime. Can I come to the wedding? No. Congrats on engagement. Thanks, Deviator. 82-mile-an-hour winds clocked at the Mackinac Bridge today. Yikes. The wedding will be streamed, right? No. Yeah. I don't know the exact number. Thanks, Melg. I don't know the exact number, guys. I know that my Kerbal hours are easily over 10,000. Easily over 10,000. No, I'm not going to, Loopy. That's my personal business, and I don't stream my personal business. You know what I'm saying? Can all of chat come? No. No? You ain't invited, boy. Anyway, so yeah, it's been a little stressful. I kind of got pushed to my limit there for a second. Don't get me wrong, it's just decided to just do variety streaming. There are other games that people want to see me play, so I'm just going to play these other games. But Kerbal had a patch the other day, and they supposedly fixed hydraulic drift, and I do want to mess with that. I want to test it out. I want to see what happens. So you're officially a Kerbal expert according to the silly 10,000 hour rule. Yeah, I guess, Vega. I mean, I wouldn't call myself an expert in anything, even if I was technically one on paper. You never, I'm an expert. Yeah, whatever. Well, yeah, like Vega. Yeah, what does that mean? You're an expert. Yeah, okay. A lot of people are experts on things, to the point where I'm like, where people say I'm an expert on this, I'm just like, yeah, of course you are. You know what I mean? I did that a long time ago, Nuclear. I built an F-16 before there were hydraulics in the game. You used air brakes to open and close the wings. Also, you've been saying 10,000 hours since 2015. Loopy, I believe in staying humble. I don't know how many hours I have. I don't know. A real estimate, maybe 20,000, 15, 20,000, somewhere around there. I don't know. I don't keep track of that. I don't care. I don't use that as a point of fact to tell people how good I am at KSP. I just play KSP, and I'm good enough. Like I don't believe in doing stuff like that. I'm an expert on myself. Boom. No, you're not. I'm an expert on. I'm more of an expert on myself than you are. Got him. Can I interest you in some DCS? No, not really. Did you ever go over that crazy F1 fan theory? No, I have it queued up, Hellfish, but I hadn't gotten around to it. I'd like to see you develop and design a space game, EJ. You already have the skill set for it. Spotch, I'd love to do that. I would love it. I'm just not sure I have the time to balance that with streaming. If this is something that I've thought about. I would love to develop a game, man. And a game about space would be combining two of my favorite things, video games and space flight. But on the other hand, Spotch, if I was going to do that, I would want the game I would want to give my all to the game, like I give my all to the stream. I put my heart and soul into this sucker. And I don't expect anything in return. I do it because I like it. It just happens to get me a paycheck, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'd be able to manage streaming with doing something like that, you know? I've tried. That's been my problem in the past. There's plenty of talent here to be able to develop a really good game. You guys are really freaking talented. There's a lot of really experienced people in this chat. But if I did, I would take time away from the stream. You want to develop an app? Sorry if you get this question a lot, but what happened to KSP? I literally got asked that question, Nuggets, less than 5 minutes ago. I'm just taking a brief hiatus from KSP. That's all. Just doing variety streaming for a little while. I just want to see what's good. Kerbal mission mode was giving me a little bit of stress. So, and because it was stressing me out so much, it made me not want to play it. You know? And if I try to play it and I don't want to play it, then what's the point? There's no point. There's no point in streaming it because people don't. Yeah, no. If the streamer's not into it, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? No problem, Uber Monkey. Yeah, I got you. The oil plants are running, B-Monies. Yeah, we're gonna jump into Satisfactory here in a second. Oh yeah, sorry, I popped in and was just wondering. Yeah, and some people are saying like, "Oh, EJ burned out." And I get it, you're saying as a joke, but that's not what's going on. I didn't burn out. Like, I could go play KSP right now, but I want to play. I want to play KSP. I am worried about getting too stressed out during the holidays. That's all. I have a lot on my plate right now, guys. There's a lot of stuff that, like, I don't talk about it too much on stream, but I have bullcrap problems just like everybody else. And yeah, some of that stuff stresses me out. I just really try to never show it on stream because you guys don't want to sit here and listen to me being a goddamn charity case all day. Oh, woe is me. Oh, my job's so hard. I play video games all day. Like, and I talk about my favorite thing. Wow, gosh, geez. No, don't get me wrong. On the side note of that, I know that streaming is difficult. Streaming's hard to do. It's a tough thing to do. You got to love it, right? But at the same time, like, you know, it's an easy job, but it's also, it's just like a job. It has stresses, just like everything else. So, I don't want to play KSP until we're basically out of the holidays, man. Once we get over the hump and we're into 2022, we'll probably pick it up and probably it'll be like I never left. It's not that I don't want to play it. I want to play it right now. I could get away with playing KSP right now. Yeah, it'd be fine. But I don't want to get into KSP and have something in there stress me out. Because I'm like, to put it in my summer car terms, my stress meter is a little bit into the red. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm trying to do so many things, and on top of that, I'm trying to stream 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. And then during the racing streams, 16 hours. Friday and Saturday streams usually easily go above 13, 14 hours. And then streams during the week, 10-hour minimum. 9 hours if I don't want to work 70 hours in 1 week, you know? And once again, I'm not saying this to burden you guys or anything like that. And if I can't deal with the stress of the game, that's my problem, not yours. Okay? You don't need to adjust how you work to me. That's not how this works. You know, there's people out there that think that's how that works. Oh, you guys have to be there for me. No, that's not how this works. That's not how the internet works. So, just, yeah, give me some time, Nuggets. We'll be fine. I got some other stuff that I'm working on, you know, like weddings and stuff, what stuff like that, that just require my attention, and that's detracting from KSP, and I don't like it. That's the better way to say it. So, yeah, just give me some time, dude. We'll be back. Try the new Tarkov update. I said no stress. Not as much stress. So I figure we'll just go through the backlog of games that I've been meaning to play, like Summer Car and stuff. You guys like Summer Car. I looked at the numbers last night. People really enjoy that game. So, you know, we'll just go through the backlog, you know. We'll see where it takes us. And, you know, when am I going to go back to playing it? I don't know. When the stress goes down. You know? It's just what CSGO pros have. They get burned out for playing a lot. Yeah, it's not burnout, raw style. It's stress. I wouldn't call it burnout. Burnout means you don't want to do it anymore. I want to play KSP. I want to. Oh, yeah. I have the hanker. Like I said, I have the hanker to play it right now. Yeah, Honey Piston. I don't like doing that. The 10,000 hour, 15,000, 20 hours, dude, that's something that chat makes up. I don't keep track of that crap. That's a useless metric. What Vegas Era basically implied from when he said that. Yeah, Southern. Do you have Simple Rockets too? I don't. So yeah, respect. I may not be here every stream, but I see you. Mad respect for giving us great content. I got you, Mitro. No problem. Yeah. Thinking about any 3D modeling streams? Maybe, Corsi. I would think we should do automotive streams before I do 3D modeling streams. Some of the stress that was irking at me was the fact that Tough Enough wasn't running. Well, it was running. The clutch hydraulics ran out of fluid, and air got into the clutch hydraulic line, and the truck wouldn't shift. It was basically parked for a week. And that was stressing me the frick out. I already have a truck that doesn't work. I don't need 2 trucks that don't work. So that was bothering the heck out of me. I fixed it. So, any driving stream during the holidays? I don't know. Lego streams are always fun. Yep. Yeah, Foz, maybe. Have you thought if KSP will always be stressful in your current playstyle? Of course it will, O-Force. What I'm telling you is that it's... Normally I can deal with the stresses from mission mode, etc., etc. Right now I can't deal with it because other things are stressing me out even more. How would Tough work in the snow? It's a 4x2, Spaceman. Not very well. Do great burnouts in the snow, though. When you do another modeling stream, would be finishing the 737? Yeah, Cyborg, but I got car projects that I started before that 737, so kind of just want to finish all this stuff, man. I have so many open projects, the cars, the modeling, like, I just want to finish. And all the games that we have to play, so I started with the games, and we'll go from there. Yeah, I'm trying to just make streaming a little bit easier for myself. It's not, and I like, guys, the people that know me, that's not something that I do all the time. I usually rise to the challenge. That's what I like doing. That's what makes me happy. But in this one particular scenario, I had to back off a little bit. Whatever, dude. It's fine. I'll be fine. Give me